in the middle of the night or early Friday morning, depending upon where you are in the world. A group of experienced comics professionals get together to examine and instruct about the art form that they love. That's great comic artwork on Comics by Night, Fridays at 5 a.m. Eastern, here on the Indie Comics Network, indiecomicsnetwork.com.
What was that? This is not a charade.
Good morning, everyone.
What a crowd.
What a crowd. What a crowd. So it's snowing here in Washington.
Oh.
Yeah.
Finally?
Yeah, well, we thought that maybe I'd be able to make it to 2024 without any snow, but that did not happen for me. Showed up today. In fact, I had a very guttural response to it when it happened, when I saw it this morning, but that's okay. That's all right. How was your guys' Christmas? You have a good
started
good
your
holiday?
day off salty, did it?
I did, yeah. I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's
just wet up here.
Yeah.
So
Kind of celebrated Christmas after Christmas. So around the 26th, but once my fiance was back from her parents' place, then
Boxing
it was good.
Day.
Yeah, Boxing Day
celebrate it.
celebration.
Yeah, just so you miss all the good matches.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Boxing Day.
Great bouts.
But I got her Hogwarts, the Legacy game or whatever, so she's addicted to that and playing it nonstop. And then she got me a coffee heater mug thing, so I keep my coffee warm.
Oh, very nice.
Chilling. Yeah,
I got one of those last year. It doesn't get as much use these days, unfortunately, because I require a much larger batch of coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah, to start with, since now the coffee is on the opposite, is on the other floor, and me and Stairs, we're still not friends yet.
Gotcha.
We will be one day, I'm sure. I'm sure we will one day. One day we'll be good buddies. Randy.
I had a couple of great carne asada tacos. And,
there you go.
We're not having our official Christmas until next weekend when all of the our immediate family can get together.
Yeah, we had a good
Oh,
time with family. Yeah, we did the Stone family Christmas on the Saturday before. So we got up, we did our gifts, and then we packed up in the car and went up to see the in-laws. And so we hung out with them through Christmas. We had then the whole lot of us got together in at their house on Christmas Day. So it was fun. It was a good time.
The stepson's significant other is a nurse, and she had to work over the holiday.
Oh well, God bless her for
unfortunate.
that. Yeah.
Yep.
So we're racing towards the new year.
Like a turtle on Mach 5.
Rocket snail, snailing towards the future.
Yeah, just a moving like a committee would move
Yeah.
directly towards the new year. And so we're gonna have a little bit of a year in review. We're gonna go over we're gonna just look back at some of the articles that we've covered this year. ICV2 was very nice to compile a list of all of their articles per month, and I'm like, hey, I remember that one. And we're gonna look.
Greatness.
Yeah, and we're gonna look ahead and see what we're gonna do to I don't know, ways we can let our parents down, ways to disappoint our mom and dad. Moving forward.
Okay then.
I can't address
Yeah.
that problem. That's okay.
Yeah. Well, I had a really funny joke the other day, and I don't think people got it. They don't get my sense of humor. So I said I'm exactly like Batman, except for the money, or the gadgets, or the crime fighting. So basically, just the dead parents.
Yeah.
Well,
Which
it's kind
I
of
thought was,
macabre.
yeah, which I thought was funny, right? I mean, that's my sense of humor. And I've told this before on the show, but I think my mom had passed. She wasn't but like 48 hours in the ground, and my friend, knowing the kind of humor I have, asked during we were at work together, and he said, "Yeah," he goes, "I heard your," he said something about your mom, and I said, "Well, mom, she was short." And he goes, "Well, how short is she?" And I said, "Well, right now she's 6 feet shorter than the rest of us." And I'm laughing, and he's laughing, right? And I happened to be the manager at the time, so the rest of my employees did not know how to respond. They were like, "What?" And I was like, "It's fine. Get it? She's 6 feet." Well, it's not funny if you have to explain it. So then I moved on. But yeah, it was. So yeah, I have a pretty thick sense of humor, I guess. But anyway, moving on.
I find no
Not
humor
the-
in my parents. I'm sorry. It's just the way it works. Not even morbid humor.
Yeah, Randy just doesn't get a joke.
I
Nope.
did-
Not getting a joke. You hear about John Cleese?
I didn't want to keep it.
Did he pass as well? Is he gone?
And he did not pass. He tried to name 5 ways Hitler was better than Trump,
Oh, really?
and it did not go well for him.
It wasn't a good
Wow.
joke, I guess.
No, it wasn't very funny. It wasn't very funny.
Sad, actually.
Normally, it's pretty hilarious, though.
It was low hanging
Wow.
fruit.
Do want to note that Tommy Smothers passed yesterday.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah. I had breakfast this morning and saw there were a couple of videos that popped up on my recommendations. I'm just, man, I can't watch these. They are hilarious, but I can't watch them.
Let's go to our chat. Welcome our chat this morning before we start getting into some news. Today we've got Hojo in. He's like, "I'm first on the
Yep.
last show of the year." Yes, you are. We are 3 shows away from 100. Big news for that one. We're going to have a giveaway every hour of the
Wow.
3 hours that we are streaming that day.
And if you know this program, that'll be quite a lot of giveaways.
Yeah, that'll be quite a lot of giveaways. So we are going to be doing a giveaway every hour. So whoever is in the chat, but you have to have commented. You have to have commented that day in the chat during that hour to get those prizes. We'll start announcing those prizes. And you know what? I'm thinking
Uh-oh.
about someone getting the pork pie.
I didn't see
Pork
any
pie.
smoke.
There you go.
Yeah, there's no pork. I'm thinking about someone getting the pork pie. I think someone will win the pork pie.
Since you don't wear that anymore,
Since I don't wear that anymore, but it did start the show.
serve its purpose.
It served its purpose. It was the catalyst for the bacon to begin. And so here we are. Here we are today, folks. 97 episodes in, soon to be 100. Cannot believe it. We got Hojo here on the last show of the year. We got Oni64 in the house. Oi, 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 welcome. Frederick Guamont is in the house as well. Good morning, y'all. Hope the year is ending on a good note for everyone. Well, it's certainly ending on a good note here. Well, with the exception of the snow, but that's not that big a deal. It's pretty from the window. As long as I don't have to go anywhere, I'll be all right. Yep. We've got
ground is a good day.
It is a good day. Comic Book Black Belt is in the house. Good day, all. It's good to have you here, Russ. Nice to see you. Levi Skeen is in the house. Hail to the chat. I do believe it's Levi that I'm working on got a picture I'm working on over here. I'm supposed to have it done before Christmas. I'm very sorry. Trying to make it very good. So
it wasn't a present.
I don't think so. But I'm trying to make it very good for them. So shout out to the widgets and the bacon. Oi. I don't know who the widgets are, but I know who the bacon is. And salty bacon, yes, indeed.
Bacon. Yes.
Who else do we have here? Christmas rock, lots of country ham and laughs. That's great. Cool. Mike Wheeler's in the house. Welcome.
Oh, good.
Did you see that video from 9.9 newsstand yesterday? Cracked out a slab, no damage, changed out the sleeve. I'll send it to you. Very cool.
I did see a couple of videos talking about some controversies going on in the slab industry.
Yeah, there is some stuff going on there. Dr. Mask Retro Elixir is in the house. Welcome. It's good to have you here this morning. And then we've got Nate Lindley also in the house. Good morning with ACP. It's good to have you here today. We're going to have a good day, I think. Pie.
I think so.
Yeah. Kind of pie. So I took a couple days off Twitter, came back, and I noticed that there was a ton of people just bickering back and forth about, promotion, entitlement, or I don't know, all kinds of stuff. And I get so exhausted by seeing all that. So I decided
Beavis rhetoric.
Yeah, so I decided I wanted to have a real competition. And so I've been doing surveys on X to determine who my competition in a pie eating contest would be.
Not the pork pie eating contest, just pie.
Just pie.
Just pie. Not many people appreciate the
people are weird.
Pork pies as a hat. They're classic.
They are. It's a classic hat. I used to wear it, and then Mo Big started making fun of me because he started calling me Boy George.
That's funny.
And you would think as a grown man that wouldn't bother me.
But it did. It got under your skin.
But then every time I saw myself on the screen in the hat, all I could see was Boy George. And it wasn't the fact that I looked like Boy George. It was the fact that then all of the lyrics to all the songs would start running through my head.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'd be like, do you really want to hurt me? Do you really want to make me cry?
That's funny.
Give me time to realize my something. Can't remember the rest of it.
Weird. Sugar's in the house. It's time for us to go. Hail everyone. Hail Sugar.
It must be the end of the show if Sugar is here.
Yeah.
Guys, let's get into some news. What do you think?
Right.
Sure. Jumping in? Yeah, let's do it.
News.
Here we go. It's the news.
Oh, we're going to talk comics.
Well, if there was comic news, we would, Ben. But there's not. UVS Games has announced its competitive organized play program for 2024, which will culminate at Worlds 2024 in Orlando, Florida on February 14th through the 16th of 2024.
Yay.
Play will be structured in 4 seasons, kicking off February 26th, 2024, with local qualifiers through April 7th, followed by webcam regional, North American and other territories, major regional, and local championships May 4th or 5th of 2024. May 5th, that's my birthday.
Yeah.
Local qualifiers and championship events for Season 1 will feature standard constructed format with a variety of other formats planned for throughout the year. Event formats for organized play include standard, retro, spotlight, limited, triple threat, and special. Season 2 will run May 20 through July 28. Season 3, August 19 through October 27. And Season 4, November 11 through February 16 of 2025. UVS is coming.
Oddly no nude classification up there.
Yeah.
Standard, retro, spotlight, limited, and triple threat and special.
So what exactly is UVS Games?
It is a
Is it Magic or something like that?
yeah,
No,
it's like
that's not UVS, is it?
No, I mean it's a different company, but maybe they're just like
they do stuff like that. Yeah, it's just like game tournament stuff.
Not to give anybody any ideas, but I'm just glad it's not EVS Games, or that would mean
Uh-oh.
another book another year late.
Another book, another year. You hear that, EVS? We're coming at you, buddy.
There we are. Peter David returns to Spider-Man 2099.
no, I
No,
think it's its own thing. It's
The 5-issue series, because that's all they can trust him with.
they have their own card game.
You know, these salty seasoned professionals. Don't give them any ideas.
Oh, they have their own card game?
Yes, they have a bunch
Yeah.
actually. They're based on Vox Machina, Mighty Nine, something at Godzilla. It's like a bunch of anime card games. One's Attack on Titan.
In case anyone in the chat ever wondered why we have whiskey, he is my fact checker.
I am what?
Yeah, you're my guy that looks things up.
No.
You're like,
Yeah,
yeah, they got a lot of things. Yeah, look at what they got. I'm like, I didn't know that.
It's anime based stuff. They even got a Godzilla game and Attack on Titan and Cowboy Bebop or something like that.
Oh, that sounds nice.
Just
Spider-Man
David-
2099 co-creator. Peter
listening
David.
To Mark Millar. Is this or Miller? Is that what this is?
Yeah, I think so.
Peter
This
David
was good
will
news. I was
return
happy to hear this.
to the
Co-creator
character.
Peter David will return to the character with a new 5-issue series launching in March of 2024, Symbiote Spider-Man 2099 by David and artist Roge Antonio from Carnage. Will tell a story of Miguel O'Hara, who recently appeared in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, becoming the host of a new symbiote. Covers are by Lionel Francis Yu, Ken Lashley, I know him, and Greg Land. I know that guy too. Greg Land copies porn.
I wasn't gonna say nothing.
Street date for the first issue is March 13th.
Probably hentai this time. I don't know.
Probably hentai this time. He's expanding his repertoire. I hope
Ego
somebody.
program.
I so hope somebody got him a subscription to Pornhub this year so that he can get some new reference
I doubt-
material.
I doubt they had to buy that for him. I sincerely-
Probably not. He's probably a gold platinum member or whatever. He's trying to own Pornhub. He's going to be the Elon of Pornhub.
Probably.
He's just going to call it Greg Hub.
Land.
Land
Porn
Hub.
land. That's
Porn
what-
land.
Porn land.
Pornland. Evil Genius launches an OP program with Organized Play Foundation. So it looks like 2024 is going to be the year of organized gameplay, competitive
Just-
gameplay.
Greg just wrote that down. It's a great idea.
Greg
He's gonna
Land.
go after the, he's
Yeah,
gonna go
he's
after
going
the
for it.
domain immediately. Pornland.com.
No. Greg Land. Yes, that's what I said. That's what we're saying.
Yep.
He copies the traces.
How did somebody find that
Well,
But that's under the old cliche. It takes one to know one.
Yeah.
turns out it's the same demographic, right? Like of the same
Amazing.
fan base. Well, I
Sudden-
recognize that lady. I
Suddenly,
recognize that pose.
that white queen looked really familiar. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, I too am on her OnlyFans.
Hmm.
Yeah. It's like, so you have to be like, look, it's the same picture. Where did you find that picture? Anonymous sources.
Yeah.
Some of those guys are just like, hey, I see what you got going on there.
And yet he still gets work. Everyone knows that this is what Greg does, and he still is hired on the regular to do covers for Marvel.
Red Dress says, Greg Land traces porn? I would have never guessed it. I don't look at such things.
In fact, it was Chris who broke the story.
Yeah.
Well, I guess if you get noticed, you get noticed.
Did you know that
That's
there
not
are
what
people
Mermaid
out there?
Says. Yeah.
Did you know that there are people out there that will reverse image search people's artwork on covers and stuff just to see if they used references for anything?
It's too bad they can't do that for scripts.
I mean, that's their only life. That's their whole life.
See, a
They
lot
just
As
of
long as
look
you
for
just
it.
check and
cover.
see, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's reverse image search this.
Never underestimate the investigative power of nerds.
At the time
And it's not
that's on
usually
their hands. Yes.
it's not usually real nerds that do it. It's usually
No.
some kind of troll.
Haters.
Yeah.
Weaponized autism.
I look at nerds more like elves.
Pretty much.
They're useful and fun,
Nerds more like
and
trolls.
trolls are
Yeah.
a different
Bit more
breed.
evil. Gremlins.
Yeah, they're nasty little creatures.
Yeah.
Nasty little creatures that none of us want anything to do with. Anyway, Evil Genius launches an OP program. This is an organized play found with the Organized Play Foundation. Evil Genius Games is launching a new organized play program in conjunctions with the Organized Play Foundation. The company announced the new program, the EGO program, launches on January 24th of 2024 with a 10-part adventure plotted by Hollywood screenwriters, including J.B. Ballard, head writer for X-Men 97. The storyline will focus on a secret organization designed to protect the interest of people who aren't equipped to protect themselves. I don't like that sound. Several replayable adventures called EGO plots and sanctioned cinematic adventures, including The Crow's Foresight's Folly, are also, I almost said Foreskin's Folly. It's one of those mornings,
Your mind's in porn land this morning.
right? Like we mentioned Greg Land, and now it's going to be all over there.
They're ego
also-
plots, by the way. Ego plots.
Ego plots. Okay, ego plots. Yeah, there you go. The program will be supported by Dispatch, a web application allowing GMs to schedule game sessions and players to sign up for those sessions, as well as a tracking system for games played and character advancement.
So
The
does this
first
mean
season.
They have the license to the Crow if they're doing the Crow's Foresight's Folly.
It must, yes.
Wow.
They
The
got
first season. Go ahead.
I just looked it up as well. They got some other stuff that under their IP, like Escape from New York,
Oh,
Kong Island, Military Heroes, Pacific Rim, Highlander, Total Recall, Rambo, Universal Soldier, and The Vault. But Escape from New York actually sounds kind of cool for like an
Yeah.
RPG.
Yeah. Well, more organized play. So if you guys want to get in on that, you'll be able to find out more about that, I'm sure, as the weeks go on. Go check out EGO program.
They're recently granted nonprofit status. It's formed, the Organizational Play Foundation, that is formed to provide volunteers for Paizo games. Anyway,
Paizo Games,
Paizo games.
which they were in the year-end news there a little bit. You might remember them. They were a big part of that going after Wizards of the Coast.
Mm.
When Wizards tried some stuff. Marvel plans comic tie-in to the Disney Plus X-Men 97 series. With the animated series X-Men 97 coming to Disney Plus in spring of 2024, Marvel Comics is launching a 4-issue miniseries that will be a prelude to the show X-Men 97. Oh man. By writer Steve Fox and artist Salva Espin, will bring readers up to speed on the doings of Storm, Jubilee, Wolverine, and other cast members since the earlier animated X-Men show ended in 1997. See, here's my problem with this. They did such a good job in 97, right? And this is where we get probably one of the best representations of a Christian character in any comic series that I've seen. With
Nightcrawler.
Yeah, Nightcrawler. And his basically proselytizing, evangelizing Wolverine, right? And this is going to be a prequel. I wonder how much of the stuff that we know to be canon from that series they're going to somehow kick in the nuts.
Oh, they're going to just... Well, I mean, is the writer at all involved?
Like, we need to know how Iceman became gay, though. No, he's not involved.
That's already been in the comics. Phoenix looked at him and made him gay.
Phoenix looked at him. Well, I'll tell you what.
Told him he was gay, and he went, I guess I like guys.
Well, she Jedi mind tricked him into homosexuality.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, that's fun.
It just sounds like a...
These are not the boobs you're looking for.
Exactly.
Just let it die. You know, if it's not even dead. It's timeless. But like, just leave it where it is. You know, and stop.
Well, see, they can't because they want to make money off of it. They can't make money off anything they're doing right now, so they have to go back and try to tie things into things that have nostalgia. I mean, you see what they did with Star Wars. They completely destroyed that franchise.
I was going to say, this gives them a chance to muck up the X-Men when they were hot.
Right, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's see what happens. But there's going to be comic book tie-ins to it as well. So they're going to try to make money.
Yeah.
Which tying books into animation is not a bad idea.
If only they'd have done that with the movies, 12,
right.
14 years ago.
Right. I mean, think about it. We've been doing this for years with manga.
Yeah.
Wearing nostalgia like a skin suit.
Speaking of skin suits, let's take a look at what we have encountered for the last year. You guys might remember some of these. Remember, there was a big deal when Dungeons and Dragons released the OGL 1.1. Wizards of the Coast backed down on the OGL. You might remember that as well. That was one crazy week. That was just a little over a year ago, if you can believe it. A little over a year ago when all that was taking place. The Open Gaming License, they tried to make all of the gamers out there that had written and were making their own books based on the Open Gaming License, all their tie-in stuff, they pretty much said, this is mine now. They tried to
pilfer it, I guess.
Yeah, they wanted to pilfer it apparently. And Paizo runs out of Paizo was one of the lead game companies revolt against the OGL change. So yeah, so that's where you originally heard about them. It was there. Then in February, we started learning that there were some. Oh wait, we need to go to comics here. In January, there was the bloodbath at Comixology. Remember that? Bloodbath. Everybody lost all their jobs.
Bloodbath. Yeah.
Bloodbath. Yeah. IDW once again posted some big losses for the end of 2022.
That's
yeah. That was.
Did they get rid of Heather Antos there, and then she jumped ship to another one?
Nope.
Or did she jump on?
Nope.
No, she got promoted.
Yep.
She got promoted. Okay.
She got promoted. Yeah.
Senior editor.
She got promoted.
Yep.
Yeah. And then in February, they were speculating that superhero comics were in a creative rut because things weren't going well, and we reported that it's not the superhero comic books, it's the crap writing.
Yep.
Which later this year we found out it did kind of come around to all that.
ChatGPT.
Yep. Somebody's got a click going on in their mic. There, it's gone now.
That was
The Direct Mark had its 50th anniversary. In March, we had some fun stuff going on.
Feels so bad.
IDW loses $335,000 in the first year of the quarter. In fiscal quarter one.
Jesus.
That was rough for them. Yep. Image Comics decided to unionize. Remember that? That was a fun time.
Mm-hmm.
That was a fun time. Then in April, we talked about, we had a high point with Super Mario Brothers hitting a box office high.
Jaffe passed.
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't unexpected, though.
Yep. And then Distillery launched. That was nice. We've heard a lot about them.
IDW lays off 39% of their staff.
Yep. They laid off 39% of their staff.
D-list stock.
Promoted somebody. Promoted a few people. Because they did such a good job in May. May was a good month.
It's just baffling how they run
The
these
longtime
companies.
Archie character comes out as transgender. Remember that? That was fun.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember that at all. Which Archie character was it?
One
of the stray ones.
Yeah, one of the stray characters.
It was Dexter's or Dilton's assistant, if I remember right.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just idiotic.
Just far enough out of reach that if the plan failed, they could never talk about him again, which I think that's what happened. So.
Pretty much, yeah. Yep, and then Marvel drops lawsuits against 4 creators in June and July.
I remember that.
Disney's lawyers dropped those lawsuits.
Yep.
Came to agreements.
Yep, and then then we talked about the UPS strikes. That was a big deal.
Spend money at this.
SAG-AFTRA was striking. Decided to strike that month.
Funko CEO out.
We talked about the strikes.
Comic sales lag. Yeah, we did. They went on forever. Comic sales lagged. We talked about that a lot because that's been the whole
news.
Damn year.
Yeah. Yep.
Diamond finally addressed some competitive issues. Then in August, we thought things were going to look up in August, didn't we? Look at all that game news in August.
Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, the OGL, like the open game license misstep, caused a lot of issues. We started to see a lot going on there. But Funko plans 30% reduction in product. That was when they started tossing stuff in the incinerator.
72 million loss per quarter.
I remember that one too.
Yeah, those were good times, weren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Simpler times back in August. In September, DC responded to Bill Willingham after his little everything is free now. Yeah, I remember that. That was great. That was fun times.
I'm placing everything in public domain. DC come back and said, "The hell you are." Yeah. Go ahead and try it, folks. Well, that's the same thing. Everybody's all excited about Steamboat Willie going into public domain. And I'm sure Disney's just sitting back wanting a test case. They got money. Come on.
They'll try it out.
Yep.
IDW made the news again.
Anybody
for
who's
Lost
not familiar with the Air Pirates fiasco needs to educate themselves on that before they do Steamboat Willie.
Yep.
Why not educate us now? What is the Air Pirate fiasco?
A couple of Disney animators decided that they were going to do an underground comic of Mickey and Minnie with adult sexual situations in it. And Disney, it's a little bit on their part and a lot on Disney's part because there was a couple of guys involved in the suit that didn't want to let it go, but Disney literally destroyed their lives.
Wow.
I mean, we're talking complete decimation.
Like Pinkertons and all?
Yeah.
And not. I don't think it was physical, but it was financial. They were done.
Yeah, the Pinkertons made the news this year again. Remember when the Magic the Gathering cards?
Losing is done. Yes.
IDW showing how losses are done.
Yeah.
Look at that, $1.28 million in quarter 3. IDW posted up there.
Rabbit hole is a remark in the chat. I'm not going to post it, but it does make me giggle.
Yeah. Antos floats to the top of a cesspool.
Yeah, I heard my
Yeah.
local bowling pro shop of all places. Heard it from my local bowling because of that strike. UPS sales are going to increase. Rates, I'm sorry, are going to increase almost 6%. Guess who gets to pay for their raise? Yeah,
These guys, the ones that use
everybody's
it.
shipping anything. Yeah, the post office is jacking their rates up, or if they haven't already, they're also going to do that, and they didn't even go on strike.
Yeah, DC started making some shakeups in
Shaking it.
October.
Another
Yeah.
round, and I'm sure this year, probably first quarter, we'll see another round again.
Yep, November was a big month for comic books.
Big month.
Yep. So the rise and fall of Capital City Distribution article, that was a fun one to go over. Talk about the history of kind of what we'd been through.
Yeah.
Can Comics Be Saved really started. It was finally in November when people started thinking, all of this spend stuff that they'd been doing. I mean, again, we saw it like, comic book, it's a lull, it's this or that. No, and it's comic books. In general, it's all this bad writing. And it really kind of started back up here in,
Oh, really?
Was it
started back
November
in
where it started?
2016. So it really all started way back when. But that's when folks started speaking up because they're looking at their diminishing returns and going, I don't know if we're going to make January. Yeah.
A little too late, I guess.
yeah.
A little
Now for us, we had a lot of changes around here. We started out the year with Nick on board. Nick wound up, he founded the show with me, and he wound up having to take some time off, and so we had to reformat a little bit. We weren't reading as much news at the beginning of the year, were we?
No, it was more just kind of stuff, just interviewing
Yeah.
comic artists.
Yeah, and so we started doing more news and more things that were kind of relevant to the business, and then talking about ways to apply ourselves to making comic books and being independents. And a big thing that happened in March was the launch of Fund My Comic, which that worked out pretty well, I think. Someone asked the other day, it's been almost a year, how does it feel? And I said, it feels like a good start.
above projection.
I'd say so. Yeah.
Let's talk about that for a second. So far, the year in review here with Fund My Comic. Here's the numbers, guys. A lot of people won't share their numbers. I do. So,
Probably won't see this from any other platform.
yeah, these are the numbers that we've run this year. So this is the funding sought total is $575,000. That's from all the campaigns being edited right now. The campaigns that are running, it's $107,822 that's being sought. We've captured, that was sought, of those
80,000.
that sought was 80,000. Right now raised running, so these are the ongoing campaigns. Right now $157,195 has been raised through, that's right now on live and active campaigns. 80,000 is complete, but raised captured complete. We've campaigns that have ended. We've brought in over $337,000 on the website in less than a year, folks.
So that's like for a small business, that's not bad for indie.
It is not bad at all for any business.
Not even a first year. Yeah.
Yeah, let alone a very niche market like ours. Now, there's going to be some articles today that we're going to read about, and where people are agreeing. Even Graham Nolan says that Marvel and DC need to exist in order for a direct market to survive. I think for the direct market, yes, but I think what we're not looking at is that there is definitely an alternative market that a lot of people overlook. And that's something that we talked about a lot over the course of this last year. I think it's one of those things that that this panel has consistently brought up. So that was a big change. Arrow added some new properties this year as well. So we got the arrow.com, arrow.store, arrowcomics.store website went up. Now we have some big things planned for 2024. We're still working on those announcements. So we can't make them yet.
Well,
The big
there are a
stuff
few
coming down
books
the pipeline.
in the planning stage. Yeah, Shadow Kingdom, 1st of March.
Yeah,
That's
a
a
lot
big
of
one.
really cool things. That's coming to Fund My
Looking-
Comic. Fund My.
Looking forward to seeing the fulfillment of AR-13L, the Little
Mhm.
Mermaid. It's going to be a good campaign.
Yes, it is. So we are. One of the things that I wanted to do was work on establishing at least kind of our own pocket of distribution where we were able to crowdfund, more reasonably
Yeah.
and things. So I think Fund My Comic kind of serves us well for that. And it turns out that it served everybody else. It's serving everybody else pretty well too.
Mhm.
So it's
Yep.
always nice when you can establish something that everybody else can use as well. So that's really nice. So that's working out. What are some other highlights
Fantastic,
from the year
actually.
that you guys? Yeah. What are some other highlights for you guys this year that you've seen?
That we've seen. Oh man,
Yeah.
memory like a sieve. Like especially right now, I slept in, so I don't even have coffee.
Oh
Uh-oh.
no. Oh no, that's a mortal sin.
I'm working
Yeah.
on only I don't know, half battery, I guess.
Pedro's hanging out with family today. Pedro,
sign
blessings.
those papers, buddy. Yeah. There we
Yeah.
are.
Randy finally signed those papers.
Lots to announce. Lots of great fun
Gear.
coming up in 2024.
Welcome, Nicholas.
You'll
Yeah.
see a nice little bit of growth from Arrow. We're going to get a video, hopefully together real soon, to talk about some of the stuff coming.
Cool.
So,
Yeah, I think Graham is correct. I think that for the direct market to survive, we do need Marvel and DC. Because
only
that's
because
what they
of
need.
the Pavlovian mindset that Diamond has entranced into the retailers for the last 35, 40 years. So that they're constantly telling them that all you want in your store is Marvel DC, maybe some Dark Horse, Marvel DC, maybe some Dark Horse, maybe some Image. Oh, Valiant. Anyway, Marvel DC, Dark Horse, Image, maybe one or two of the other companies. Look, this Stray company's made a little foothold in here. You might want to carry just that book, but not their entire line. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
anyway. Don't get me started.
Yeah,
I'll get
well,
out of that box.
It remains to see what
Get
will
off that
happen for
soapbox.
2024 as far as the direct market and how comic shops are able to respond. I know that we were starting Iron Age distribution, and we were planning on doing a print on demand option for retailers.
Just
but-
plans of mice and men. Yep.
Right, but we're we have some major issues going on with that, so we're reformatting our business model over there and trying to figure out what we're going to do because we had issues with printers, and now with
Anybody
printing
who's
costs, it's
gotten
just
a-
impossible.
Yeah. Anybody who's gotten a print estimate from a print on demand publisher, and if you haven't gotten one in the last 3 to 4 months, you really need to get one real quick, especially if you've got a campaign running, because you're going to have to readjust.
Yeah,
'Cause
update
them
your
rates
update
jumped.
your
Yep. Everybody, we think, jumped up their rates to a ridiculous percentage.
and if they haven't
in my
if they
opinion.
haven't jumped them before the holidays, they will jump them after the
On
first of the year.
Yep.
Yeah.
What are they? What's that military code? I think it is. A few plans survive first contact with the enemy.
It's more like snafu. But anyway.
Yeah. Nick believes that if Marvel and DC failed, a huge number of people would completely walk away from comics, leaving fewer eyes on indies and father showing their
We're gonna-
kids comics.
We're going to get into predictions later,
Yeah, we'll get in predictions, but
because I got them.
yeah, I think that is a safe prediction, Nick, but I don't know that it's an accurate prediction. Because I think
jump
people
ahead?
have walked away from no, we'll get in there.
All right.
We'll get back to that. Well, remind me to get back to Nick's comment there.
Okay.
The big two are the steak people go to the grocery store for. We are the cool candy bar at the checkout. So the store is necessary for the direct market. It
I
is.
hate to break this to you, Hojo. We've always been the cool candy bar.
We've always been the cool candy bar.
That's why we started this industry. Started out as 10 cents a 10 cent
Yeah.
book.
A Mike Tyson quote. Great quote there. Everybody had to play until they get kicked, till they get hit in the mouth.
Yeah, basically.
Everybody's got to play until they get hit in the mouth. Yes, they do.
Too true.
And yeah, we got hit in the mouth with some pretty bad printing numbers. I'm like, whoa, hold on a second. I thought these numbers were locked in for at least a year. Yeah, no. When someone says they're going to lock prices in for a year, don't believe them. It's not true. Can't do it. So anyway, let's go ahead and move. There's some new news that I'd like to bring up today. So Joker 2 turns out that it might have be another Christian bashing film from some plot leaks. What do you think?
I mean, the original wasn't really kind of. It just like almost like the Joker name. Not that it was a bad film. A lot of people liked it. I never got around to seeing it, but a lot of people suggested that it was more of just like a Joker-like film.
It wasn't really the Joker. I enjoyed it. It was like Taxi Driver meets comic books is what it was. So Todd Phillips' dull yet award-winning odd Batman villain film is slated for a return when Joker 2 Folie à Deux is expected to be released in cinemas in October 2024. The film will feature Joaquin Phoenix reprising his role as the Joker and Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn. It appears from leaked on-set photos and the news that actors were recruited to play pastors and church members, that the Christian religion will play a role in the plot of the upcoming movie. Lady Gaga is making her DC debut as Harley Quinn, and why not? After all, she already did sing a theme song for the Joker. Can't read my no, he can't read my Joker face. That would be a funny parody, but we do know that Joker 2, Folie à Deux, will be a musical of sorts. Oh, God. All I can say is there's going to be a lot of music. That's all I can give away. Score composer Hildur, I'm not even going to attempt it, stated in an interview with comicbook.com, Joker 2.
It's like they got everybody in a room and they said, what are the things that we could do to make this movie totally unsaleable to its previous audience? Oh, let's start with a French title, and why don't we make it a musical? Oh, that would be great. And
Yeah.
Just alienate everybody.
Yeah. Two things I don't want.
What's funny is that like the original one, they were worried that like a bunch of incels are going to shoot up theaters, and they were placing like guard, like, undercover cops in different theaters and stuff like that. And then like that's what they believe the target audience was, angry nerds, masculine men, whatever, incels, and so on and so forth. But now they're like, let's have a French musical. Like,
yeah.
The Folie à Deux composer Hildur, German, said it in an interview. The question is whether Lady Gaga's singing will be enough to inspire Joker to become the charismatic and darkly humorous supervillain he was always meant to be, instead of the self-pitying nihilist millennial he was modeled after by Phillips. It would appear not everyone is excited about the upcoming movie, though. Ex-user Maddox tweeted, "Nobody is hyped for Joker 2. How about you guys out there? Well, here we go. We got Frederick Guimont, who I do believe speaks French. As much French as he's got in his last name, he must have some French in his heart. How do you feel about a musical? He says, not going to go see it. Lady Gag as Harley Quinn? No. Look, my mother-in-law loves Lady Gaga. Big fan. I think she's a fantastic singer-songwriter. I think she's a great marketer. She's a good actress, great actress. Yeah. She's really good at figuring out how to market. Like that meat dress, like making people talk about her, like what she was wearing, so they would finally focus on her music. Brilliant. Mm-hmm. Brilliant. I just don't know about a musical Joker, especially one where the audience was so split on the first one. I liked it as a movie. I didn't like it as a Joker movie, if that makes
Musical.
sense.
I'm good.
I'm good. X-user Joker Foley News tweeted in French translated, the casting team for Joker, Folly of Two, recruited actors to play pastors and church members during the 1980s. A large number of Mormons and Jehovah's Witnesses emerged, along with televangelists who were corrupt. So maybe they're doing some corrupt Christian thing there. Maybe they're making fun of the Mormons. Who knows? The user added, will these events be addressed? Will we have the Joker as the leader of a cult? Is it worth remembering that we have already confirmed a registered actor playing a member of the Mormon Church for Joker 2?
I wouldn't put it past them to, like, throw the religious bad trope in there.
Well, why wouldn't they? I mean, come on. I even like throwing the religious bad trope in things because it's such a cliche. And the reason why it's a trope, the reason why it's a cliche is because it's true. There are so many, like the Family Gemstones or whatever they're called. That show, very popular. I watched that. And pretty much, that's kind of how I feel about anyone in a mega church. I mean, recently, last year, in Jacksonville, we had a prominent, well-known mega church pastor had to be let go. He had to be removed. And his response was to sue his church board. Pardon me. It was crazy. So yeah, the Western church is riddled with corruption.
Just bring back cyborg zombie Cromwell from the grave.
Probably, yeah. But and it doesn't help though. All that stuff that we've brought upon ourselves as the church. It just lends credence to Hollywood, in my opinion, because as the article says here, seeing how Hollywood is treating the Christian religion these days, the one safe bet would be to assume that Joker 2, Folly of Two, will not give a kind portrayal of Christianity. I'm not guessing so. Let's just hope it doesn't get on the offensive level. It could be. It probably will.
Because, like, I think what is their subtext with, like, I'm guessing, because I actually never saw the first one, but the subtext was with the first one is that the whole, like, disenfranchised men or whatever, right?
Right, yeah.
So the second one, it seems like they're setting up is that, like, like the right wing Christian nationalist church thing is somehow like the evil bad,
the zealot, maybe.
Yeah.
But there's always been zealots throughout history.
True. I mean, like, not without, obviously there's merit in some of the stuff about that, but like it just seems like it's an attack at the right wing right now.
That's going to be a big theme in Hollywood.
Man, Levi, I'm so sorry to hear that. Our pastor embezzled $30,000 from our church.
Yeah, that's
Grey Wolf says, I stopped attending church for the most part over a lot of really bad things. Here's what you need to understand, though, is what I try to encourage everyone to understand, is that the church is full of broken people, full of them. And pastors should hold up to a higher standard. They should live to a higher standard. But that's also why we need solid church boards. There was a big church that I was going to go to, and I decided not to, because they couldn't produce a set of bylaws and explain to me how church discipline took place for leadership, which meant they didn't have anything in place to deal with that if one of the leaders got out of line.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, if you don't know how to deal with that, then you don't know how to deal with normal problems, because inevitably that's going to happen. Because it's just the nature of humans. You get a little power, you get a little money, people lose it. In fact, there's been a whole conversation this week about, when people finally, quote unquote, make it, Their whole attitude about helping out everybody else changes. And, maybe that's true, maybe it's not. But the perception is that once somebody achieves a certain goal or a certain status, that they change. That, okay, well, now you're here. You don't hang out with the same people. You hang out with different people. You do this different. You act different. And, maybe part of that is true because, if you're going to be, hard work finds hard work, I certainly don't hang out with stoner friends like I used to when I'm working all the time. I don't hang out with gamer friends anymore because I never game. I never have the time to game. I only hang out with people that are working in a circle that I'm working in, right? So, it happens, and if you associate with, I really hate to say this, but who you associate really matters. If you associate with losers, you're going to be a loser. If you associate with winners, you're going to be a winner. I'm reminded of this story. Let me be a preacher for a second, of this paralyzed guy in the Bible. And he had these 3 or 4 friends that because of their faith, he was healed. They knew that they just had to get him into Jesus' house. And so what they did is they got him up on the roof and they tore a hole in the roof and lowered him down so he could be there with Jesus so Jesus could pray for him. And it was because of their faith, knowing that this guy was healed. So who he hung out with, his friends, did matter. So who you are associating with matters in your life, right? And so sometimes what happens is if you're a crab or you're a Beavis, like Randy says, and someone moves on from a Beavis so that they're not having that Beavis mentality or that crab mentality, it might not be that they've changed for the better, but that you have an opportunity, or that they've changed for the worse, but that they changed for the better and left you behind. So I always challenge myself with that way of thinking rather than the opposite. I don't know what got me on that rant, but I guess trying to leave some positivity out there today.
It's a good message, though. In my own life, I've had similar situations like that. Just, being able to stop doing drugs,
Amen to that.
Right. So
Rabbit says I'm more of a butthead.
So it's good stuff, man.
Yep. Disney finds itself entangled in a web of controversies with recent upheavals in its Marvel Cinematic Universe. The upheaval not only involved the removal of Jonathan Majors, set to play Kang as the primary antagonist, but now the replacement of Vin Diesel as the voice of Groot in What If? Season 2, adding another layer of public relations challenges for the entertainment giant. The abrupt departure of Jonathan Majors, who was set to play Kang the Conqueror, comes on the heels of his conviction for assault and harassment of his ex-girlfriend, Grace Jabari. Disney swiftly responded, officially severing ties with Majors. The decision leaves fans in suspense, wondering how Marvel Studios plans to rework its storyline, as Kang was positioned as a central figure in the unfolding multiverse saga. Which, can we just leave the multiverse alone? This shakeup follows earlier reports that screenwriter Jeff Loveness, assigned to write Kang Dynasty, has departed from Marvel, while the official director of Avengers 5, formerly Kang Dynasty,
of Avengers 5, yeah.
Yep. Remains uncertain. Insiders suggest a
significant pivot.
Sorry, thank you. Dear
from the
God, what was wrong with my eyes?
planned Kang-centric narrative. Actually, they're I don't know. Their legal is probably checking into names right now. It just seems silly for them to change direction at this point. Just recast. And I saw a great meme the other day that suggested maybe they should recast Kang as Trevor Howard. That might be fun.
That might be fun. All right, so
in addition, Vin Diesel, renowned for his roles in the Fast and Furious franchise and as the voice of Groot, faces a legal storm, accused of sexual battery by his former assistant, Asta Jonasson. Jonasson? Jonasson. During the 2010 production of Fast 5, Diesel's legal battle has escalated, bringing unwanted attention to the star. His exclusion as the voice of Groot in What If Season 2 adds another layer to the unfolding drama. The casting of Fred Tatasciore,
Good luck on that one.
yeah, as the
That's a
new
different
voice
name.
actor of Groot, marks a departure from Diesel's long-standing association with the character, which is pretty weird because I thought they recorded this stuff a couple years or so, at least a year in advance.
Apparently they don't.
So Diesel vehemently denies allegations through his attorney, Brian Friedman, stating Vin Diesel categorically denies his claim in its entirety. This is the first he has ever heard about this more than 13-year-old claim made by a purportedly 9-day employee. There is clear evidence which completely refutes these outlandish allegations.
I wonder if he's gonna get the same kind of like
See, Timu's got a lot of money for advertising.
Yes,
you
they
know,
do.
like if it turns out to be false, he'll get the same kind of like Johnny Depp treatment, or or they're just gonna bury him and then
More
forget
than
about it.
likely, it'll be like Chris Hardwick, who quickly jumped into obscurity.
I
after
am
he was
Grope.
shunned for wrong. Yeah, Grope. That's funny.
That's funny.
Or you Grope. Amidst the controversy, there's a glimmer of
Allegedly.
continuity as Elizabeth Olsen reprises her role as Scarlet Witch in What If Season 2. Her return offers some stability to the MCU, reminding fans of the talented ensemble still contributing to the vast Marvel universe.
The vast Marvel universe.
Vast. I'll tell you, though, I've watched the first 2 episodes of What If, and they are, I think, writing-wise, probably the best thing on Disney Plus right now, as far as new content goes. That's the cool thing about What If, though, is that you're given a free and open hand, and good writers can use that as inspiration. And the first 2 episodes that I watched, one of them had Nebula as a member of Nova Corps, and the other one had a young Peter Quill coming down with a little ego boost and causing havoc on Earth, so they had to assemble a team. Not bad stuff. These dual controversies pose challenging questions for Disney as they navigate the aftermath of Major's dismissal and Diesel's legal battles. The future of the MCU, this really cries for Stan Lee's voice. The future of the MCU hangs in the balance. The abrupt changes in key roles and storylines force Marvel Studios to rethink its strategy and adapt swiftly to maintain the integrity of its cinematic universe. The developments surrounding Avengers 5, now sans the Kang branding, and the replacement of Groot's iconic voice create an air of unease among fans. That's just funny. Considering everything else that they've done over the last year, it's a small drop in the bucket in regards to
Right.
that unease.
It's Groot. Groot was the straw that broke the camel's back. Forget what they're doing with,
With their hires,
forget
with their
injecting
virtue
themselves into the
signaling.
woke
Yeah.
into the woke culture war that they're doing. Yeah, forget jumping in politics in Florida. Forget all of that. Forget all of it. Groot, what are we going to do?
Disney faces the delicate task of addressing these PR challenges while assuring audiences that the magic of the MCU remains intact. Whoever wrote this has got to be a big fan of those early Stan Lee Marvel comics. Just got to be.
The writer of this is Daniela Akira.
Akira? Asira.
It just kind of
Asra? Maybe Asra?
Daniela.
I like Akira, though. Let's just call her Daniela Akira. I like it. Good.
so after going through the article there, it kind of seems like
What
if it
I
does
didn't know?
fail,
There you go.
right? They could just have they can just, oh look, this is why we failed, because of these two. Like, you're just setting them up as a scapegoat.
There's plenty of that to go around in the MCU right now.
Yeah. This article is
quote.
on Fandom Pulse, by the way. FandomPulse.com is a brand new website.
There you go.
And I will be contributing to this soon. So you'll be seeing some articles, hopefully, after the first of the year.
Cool.
With your boy
Luke Stone.
writing on it, from Luke Stone, talking about comic book news.
Wow.
And
Sweet.
that's going to be where
That'll
my
be
thing,
good.
crowdfunding news, and featuring some things that are out there in the world. So let us support this website. Please go to fandompulse.com. Sign up for that website. It's free.
Every comic fan needs a toilet liner. There we are.
Every comic fan needs a toilet liner. Yeah, that's what I
Especially
call.
nowadays, especially looking at the
what
last couple of years, these franchises, the treatment of these franchises, every comic fan needs a toilet liner. Director Christopher London Rage quit Scream 7, stating it was, quote, a dream job that turned into a nightmare, unquote, following Jenna Ortega quitting. Yeah, I'd be upset too.
Yeah, Jenna Ortega is amazing. She makes everything she touches better.
A lot of those, the last couple Scream movies were just bloody awful.
That's what she said.
I watched the whole series during Halloween. It was
I'm sorry.
it was like first ones were okay, and then second okay. I think a third was somewhat okay, and then it just fell off a cliff after that, I think.
Scream
If I remember.
7's grappling with yet another major setback as director Christopher Landon announces his departure from the project. Landon's exit comes on the heels. Whoops.
Sorry, 1 second.
That's all
This is another article from Daniela.
right. Yeah. We need to know how to pronounce her last name.
I really do. I'll reach out and find out how to pronounce it.
Departure from the project. Landon's exit comes on the heels of actress Melissa Barrera's firing and Jenna Ortega's voluntary exit, creating an unexpected storm of controversy surrounding the horror franchise.
Yeah, why did they all want to leave?
Christopher Landon, known for his work on successful horror films like Happy Death Day and Freaky, took to social media to reveal his departure, describing what was once a dream job as having turned into a nightmare. The director expressed disappointment, stating it was a dream job that turned into a nightmare. And my heart did break for everyone involved. Everyone. But it's time to move on.
Look at that cast. Look how many people are
Look at
on that
great-
poster.
That great poster. Look at that.
I love that poster.
And it let's see, scroll down just a little bit. Oh, perfect for the Chinese market. Look at that.
Those
The
There's
black
a couple-
the black guy is way over in the corner and small.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he's Latin.
he's not even black. He's just brownish.
Or no, Indian
the,
or
the POC. Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
brownish. And then you got the ginger over here real small too.
Yeah.
Right where you need him.
Perfect.
It was-
Perfect for China.
What's funny about that one character, nearly
Racist
everything
China.
he shows up in turns out to be some kind of progressive nonsense.
The tumultuous journey for Scream 7 began when Spyglass fired Melissa Barrera, who over social media posts, some characterized as anti-Semitic. Melissa Barrera's departure, however, had deeper roots. As sources reveal, her firing took place in October during the early weeks of the Israel-Hamas conflict. The actress had become increasingly vocal about the situation, leading to her dismissal from the film.
It was weird. In the film, she was like the character, I guess, that she was playing. She was like the related somehow to the original killer, like that was her father.
Hmm.
And it just
So Matthew Lillard. I love Matthew Lillard. He's great.
Jenna
yeah, the
Ortega,
original was a good film, but
yeah.
they really just they just really
Overmilked that
screwed it up.
cow. Is that what you're saying?
I didn't really like the film. I'm just saying I love Matthew Lillard.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
He's
okay.
great.
You
I think
didn't,
he's-
you didn't like?
I think he's
Scream one?
fantastic. Nah, it sucked.
I think he's very underrated as an actor. That
It was-
needs something that he can
yeah.
really sink his teeth
It
into.
was so. Here's the thing with Scream. It was new. It was original, and I liked the originality of it. But it was, it was still just for me. Of course, I don't get scared easily. So I mean, you have to have a really, really amazing story
Yeah.
to really play on the psychological thing. And, as a gun-toting Southern boy, I'm not really worried about a dude with a knife.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that movie would have been over the first time he came to my house. Like, it'd have been like, oh, don't worry, guys, I got this. I'd have had time to reload by the time he got to me. I'm telling you. So it's like, it just doesn't scare me. Now, I'll tell you what, Final Destination, that movie
No one
messed
bothered
with
you?
me. That one mess. And you know what else messed with me? Saw. Can't watch those movies because, like, you know, this like
Final Destination was great for logger truckers because now
Right.
everybody gives them a wide berth.
wide berth. You know what, Bunny, you're right. Little
On the road.
Shaggy was Oscar worthy.
Yeah.
I always get tired of horror movies that take place in small country towns and nobody owns a gun. Right.
you
It's
go.
not true.
Yep. No.
Those only work in big cities, big liberal cities.
Mhm.
If you come to a small town like Washington, Indiana, you are not making it out of here as a killer. It's not happening. I mean, it's
Though
the
it
last
would
thing
make-
we're worried about is a serial killer.
It would make for a great movie though. Like with a title like "Don't Try That in a Small Town," where they
Mm.
have a serial killer go in and suddenly he can't get out.
Yeah,
that's
where the
a horror
whole
movie.
the whole you know, maybe that will be the horror movie, the horror comic that I actually write
there's some-
next year.
There's some screenwriter out there right now going, "Gotta write that down."
This is a horror movie
Yeah.
from the
He comes in
perspective
as
of
the
killer.
villain and ends up the
victim.
sympathetic victim.
Yeah, he's trying to escape this small town of this cult-like small town
I
where
can
everyone
see
knows
that.
each other.
That's not how that works in this town, son.
Son, apparently you don't know who I am.
Don't try that in a small town. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't try that here.
Jenna Ortega, another lead in the movie, followed suit with a voluntary exit, citing scheduling conflicts with her commitment to the Netflix series Wednesday. Although sources claim Ortega's departure was unrelated to Barrera's firing, TMZ reported that Ortega had liked one of Barrera's posts supporting her pro-Palestine stance amid the Israel-Hamas conflict.
Look, if all these people are pro-Palestine, F them.
The most terrifying scream is always the last, but we've got another 4 sequels.
Yeah, it's never the last. It's never the last. This is like the Fast and Furious franchise. I went over to a guy's house. I love the guy. Very, very nice guy. But the Fast movies were his favorite movies, right? We went over for lunch on a Sunday afternoon, and he decided he wanted to put on the Fast and Furious movies
All
for
of
us
them?
to watch.
Mhm.
All of them.
Ugh.
One right after
All of
the
them.
other.
I was like, I gotta go. I'm like, I have to go. Unpopular opinion. I do
Superhero
not.
movies with cars. That's what they are.
I do not like the Fast and Furious movies.
We're family.
I don't
what?
like them. I think they're stupid.
I wasn't.
I'm a
huge fan
car
of the
guy.
first one.
I'm a car guy. The physics don't work. I'm like, this is stupid. I hate this. I do not like the Fast movies. You know what else I don't like? I don't like that band, the Pentatonics. I'm so freaking sick of people trying to make me like or pretend like acapella music is good. Acapella music sucks. Play an instrument. Dear God.
I'm
Sorry,
not a
I
huge
just had to
fan
let
of.
that out.
I'm not a huge fan of musicians or artists or bands that have a lead singer that doesn't play music. Like if you don't have a
I'm not
guitar in your
car
hand.
guy, right?
Oh, that's fine. You can
No, I'm
sing. You can sing without playing an instrument,
I disagree.
but there needs to be music in there. Like Freddie Mercury was great at it. He brought me in, but he still played. He played everything.
Yeah,
He
he did.
played something, didn't he? Something, sometimes.
He
Yeah.
was a incredible
Grandma.
piano player.
Yeah, and guitar.
Oh, there
Piano
you
and
go.
guitar. Yeah.
Luke
Oh,
Best,
yeah, it's the grind my gears.
Yeah.
You know what else burns my toast?
Whatever. What burns your bacon? Or there you go.
Yes,
Yeah,
the first film
burns
I
your
liked.
bacon.
The first one but the second one I was like, this is garbage. I was like, yeah, that's a great movie. Let's watch the sequel. And then when they did 3, and they did 4, and then
It's
they
like
had
it's-
X, I'm like,
Isn't
it's
this
done.
the same movie?
Look, that franchise died with Paul Walker.
Mhm.
When that man was taken from this earth, they should have stopped.
Oh, not when it's
Like,
making money.
Fast and
That's
Furious
the
kind
thing.
of
They milk those cows until there's nothing left but a skeleton.
it kind of came in off the popularity of street racing and the Need for Speed games when they were like
Headless
Like
is
the-
right.
those are good games. If anybody played video games back in the day, I actually
Need for
kind of missed
Speed is
them.
fun. Yeah, those were fun
Yeah.
games.
Christopher
The
Landon
underground
was
stuff.
set to take over from the directing team. Radio Silence expressed his discontent after Barrera's firing was made public. His frustration was evident in a now deleted post where he stated, "This is my statement. Heart. Everything sucks.
Broken
Stop
heart.
yelling. Broken heart. Everything sucks. Stop yelling. This is not my decision to make." With Landon's exit, the future of Scream 7 now rests with James Vanderbilt, the writer-producer responsible for co-writing the rebooted movies. Vanderbilt is currently working on the script, and with the loss of both Barrera and Landon, faces the daunting task of rebuilding the project from scratch.
Well, Jesus, it's like his movie sucked. Like even though a lot of people didn't like all the Scream movies, they were at least somewhat watchable compared to whatever crap this guy put out.
Paramount Pictures, the studio behind the Scream franchise, has faced criticism for its handling of the recent development. The woke reimagining of the series, marked by recasting characters for modern Hollywood diversity and inclusion requirements, has raised concerns among fans. The departure of top stars like Melissa Barrera and Gina Ortega has left Paramount in a challenging position, and the studio may need to reconsider its approach to ensure the success and continuity of the iconic horror series. As fans wait further updates on the fate of Scream 7, the unexpected departures of key cast and crew members have undoubtedly cast a shadow over the once promising project. Only time will tell now or how the studio navigates these challenges and whether the beloved horror franchise can recover from this unprecedented turmoil. Not the first movie that's had a lot of problems.
Woke.
Sure, it won't be the last.
Hold on,
The-
woke. I don't.
The reboots were woke as hell.
These are
Oh,
woke.
okay. Oh yeah, like they have to like the third character down, the one you talked about, hidden, and everything he's in is progressive garbage.
Oh,
Kind of woke looking at the first two there on top.
Like, and then Ortega wasn't as well. Was
Could just be me. Anyway,
oh, this chick is a.
but yeah.
I don't know.
So,
I don't know. I don't. I don't know. I haven't watched
Johansson
them.
clone. Yeah.
I don't know. But if I were just to look at that poster, I wouldn't think that was woke. Nothing about it says woke to me.
no. Once you once you watch the film, it's really quite obvious.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's all sorts of wonderful messaging.
I'm sure they. I'm sure somehow white people are to blame. That's okay. Somebody's got to be the villain.
Hey there, Jason. You sure have a purty mouth.
This is going to be fun. I like that this website does that. When I zoom a little bit, it automatically snaps it to this size. I don't have to like fuss with it. I
This
don't know
looks-
what John has done, but I do appreciate it.
This could
Yeah.
be another Lord of the Rings fiasco.
I think it might be another article by Daniela. I mean, she is killing it over there. She's just cranking out article after article. Netflix reported to adapt C.S. Lewis's Chronicle of Narnia with Barbie director Greta Gerwig and Black Widow actress Florence Pugh. Oh my gosh! I think this is going to be a terrible, terrible thing.
No, just leave it alone.
Here's why I think it's going to be a terrible, terrible thing. Right there. Because the best part of Barbie was the part that she was making fun of the patriarch. Right? So she's making fun of the patriarch. But yet Ken kind of became a bros bro kind of icon for men, right? And she was like, no, she was trying to make fun of that. So EVS said that the movie was great, that he really liked it, and that it was either so woke and didn't realize that it had parodied woke, or it was honestly parodying woke. And he thought that it was an honest parody of wokeness, right? But it wasn't. She confirmed that it was supposed to be woke. And she was so far woke that she parodied it, and people enjoyed the film. So, like my kids went to go watch it. And they're like, yeah, it kind of gets it's a little weird, you know.
You know
And,
who else is a big fan of that show or movie?
who was that?
Justin Trudeau.
Oh, well, that's enough. Well, now we've got EVS and Trudeau in the same. What do you have to say for yourself, Ethan? Come on.
He's got this.
Ethan's never here to defend himself. It's not fair.
He made a post with his son.
Do you draw the Flintstones naked? There's a market for that.
See, he made this post with his son, like when wanting to see the movie, and they're wearing pink sweaters, and they're like, "We're Team Barbie," and it was just horrifying.
I can see him truly associating with Ken, though.
What, Trudeau?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I never saw the film, so I have no idea about the plot.
Well, I'm talking about the actual doll, Ken.
Oh yeah.
Not having the genitalia.
Nothing there.
There's
Nothing.
nothing there. Flat as
Smooth and shiny. Smooth and shiny.
When I get a free afternoon, I'm definitely going to run a double play of Barbie and Joker and see how that runs.
Right. Nothing says father-son
It has to.
bonding
Yeah.
like going to see Barbie, right?
Yeah, there
father-son
you go. Yep.
father-son bonding would be going to see Godzilla -1.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's
I did on Christmas Eve, I did go watch the new Wonka movie,
Yeah.
and I loved it.
Did you?
I loved it.
It was good.
It was not, there was no political garbage in it. It was just fun. And it was all about candy. It's all about candy. It was funny. Slugworth was black. And I was like, ooh, are they allowed to make the villain black? And they did. I mean, it was so well done. And I was like, ooh, this is fun. This is neat. I enjoyed it. The music was great.
In the Wilder movie, he really wasn't the villain. He was more a cohort that had a villainous look or impression to him.
That's what it was. He was.
Yeah.
But no, that wasn't Slugworth. That was a guy pretending to be Slugworth in the original. So you never actually met Slugworth, right?
Okay.
So you actually get to meet him and these other ones, and it was funny. I laughed. I mean, it was good. I mean, it was a good movie. Timothy Chalamet or whatever his name is, did a great job. I was very impressed with his work in that. I really have not watched or would watch anything else that he's in, but I enjoyed the movie.
Wasn't he in Dune? He was one of the high points.
I didn't watch Dune.
Atreides in Dune.
Yeah, I didn't
he's
watch Dune.
One of the high points of that adaptation.
I've heard he was, yeah.
Yeah.
But I really did enjoy the movie. Oddly enough, I really did enjoy it. Now it's not Roald Dahl's book, right? Roald Dahl would have hated it, but he hated the first one with Gene Wilder. This was based on the Gene Wilder movie, is what it was. This was the prequel to that. So he was trying to be a young Gene Wilder, and I think he pulled it off fairly well. And but I mean, the actual, like, if you're going to look at a movie that is actually the book, then it's Tim Burton all the way. It's Johnny Depp. So, welcome, Fanta. Fanta's in the house. Apex Comics is in the house.
Apex.
I just assumed that it was his friend. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was good. It was good. It was good. Now, I'm not looking forward to this because the problem with, they need to understand that Lewis, I think only someone with a deep devoted faith could handle Lewis's material properly, right?
And somebody who's also like an ardent fan of the book series as well.
Yeah, like my favorite line in all of the books is when they're going to see Aslan and they said, "Oh, we're going to see he's a lion." Oh, well, is he safe? He's like, "Of course not. He's not safe, but he's good." Because that's Aslan is Jesus in this storyline, right? And it's I think one of the best ways to describe, as a Christian walking a life with Christ, at the center. Is it safe? No, it's not a safe life. You'll get called into some really kind of effed up situations to try to be the light where needed. Like he really puts you where he needs you kind of situation. And you don't always want to be there. But he's good. Like he gets you through it and he blesses you through it and he helps you grow in it. So to hear that, I remember as a kid reading that, is he safe? No, of course not. He's a lion, but he's good. And, understanding that, and trying to learn that fear of the Lord thing growing up. Like, what does that mean? Like, how can you be afraid of someone that you're supposed to love and that loves you? And that makes sense. When I saw Aslan, I got it that I love Aslan, but at the same time, Aslan could rip my head off because he's a freaking lion. I don't know that this writer, that this director is going to be able to handle that property.
I mean, it's Netflix too. They're going to butcher the hell of it. It's just.
I mean, Netflix has done a couple of good things.
Well,
maybe.
You never know because Netflix tries to cater more to their audience than to their message at times.
True.
So there's a possibility here this could be a really good adaptation, or it could be really bad. So.
Well, yeah, you make a great point, Randy. They saw what happened with Lord of the Rings with Prime, right? Mm-hmm. So they may go the exact opposite. They may stick as close as they can to source material, knowing that they're going to want to get the true fans, because even the woke fans didn't like the Lord of the Rings adaptation. They're like, no, it's not, because it's not supposed to be about politics on Earth. It's not supposed to be about our politics. It's supposed to be about their politics and what's going on in Middle Earth, right? Mm-hmm. And we don't need to see us reflected in that so closely. It's fantasy. It's escapism. And I think across the board, and I mean, I know that politically the three of us don't align all the way. And I know that politically we don't align with the people in our chats. I know that politically I don't align with all the people that buy my books or are a fan of my art. And it doesn't matter. It's one of the things that I was really concerned about with one of these projects I'm working on. The writer's like, hey, explain to me what Comicsgate is. Like, where do you stand politically? Because he had no idea about any of my online presence, video chats, any of this stuff that we do, right? And so I was like, I might be losing this job because people tend to get scared off by that stuff. And he just wanted to know. He was curious. He's like, no, I don't care. Like, how you vote and your opinion makes no difference on your art at all. Mm-hmm. Like, I like the art that you're doing. I like your style. So that's why I want you drawing the book. So when it comes to things like that, we should be able to just connect over art in spite of how we vote or how we perceive social issues, right? There's being a decent person and there's, political propaganda. And I think that the two are, they sometimes overlap, but I think we get them confused. And I'm just afraid. Yeah, not very often. And I'm afraid what's going to happen here with this property. But Randy, you might be right. Let's hope.
Frederick here mentions that Netflix does good when the original creators have final say, like in One Piece.
Was One Piece good?
I'm gonna have to sit and watch every.
I've heard it was very good.
I've heard of it says it's phenomenal.
Huh.
I need to sit and watch that and the original anime as far as that goes.
So
the concepts are very fascinating.
But Lewis, now I know Lewis's estate will probably have. Let's read the article. Let's see what it says. Netflix announcement of a reboot of the beloved Chronicles of Narnia franchise, spearheaded by director Greta Gerwig and starring Florence Pugh, has stirred a mix of anticipation and skepticism. The streaming giant's track record with adaptations amplified by the misfire of Cowboy Bebop, which that was bad, raises questions about the success of such an ambitious project. The Chronicles of Narnia originally captivated audiences with a trilogy of movies that concluded in 2010. However, plans for additional films, including a scrapped Chronicles of Narnia 4, were on the horizon over a decade ago. Now, Netflix is set to take on C.S. Lewis' book series with a reboot starting point, which could finally see the full work adapted to the screen. Greta Gerwig, known for her work on the film Barbie and Little Women, is set to direct the first two entries in the Chronicles of Narnia reboot. Gerwig's involvement might mean the project is pushing into a feminist bent, especially with the leaked choice of Florence Pugh to play Lucy Pevensey, according to discussing Film on X. an odd choice as she's so much older than presented in the books and last adaptation. Pugh has stirred controversy in the Marvel Cinematic Universe already with her replacement Black Widow, as she's admitted she's pissing people off in the portrayal. Florence Pugh will play Lucy Pevensey in Greta Gerwig's Chronicle. She's a cute girl.
I just can't imagine this is going to go good. It's probably going to be like, like the four queens of Narnia instead of like, the kings and queens of Narnia.
Yes, yeah, Pugh was in Oppenheimer, and there's no woke there. That's good.
Really? Okay.
Another movie I haven't watched yet.
the White Witch will be the real victim. Who knows? Look, here's the thing. You can be an activist and be an actor as long as you just are an actor first.
You can be
right?
an activist and make great movies. You
just
don't mix the two
very
hard, or have enough talent to bury your message in the
now,
world.
Rabbit says she was there for the boobs. We're all there for the boobs, dude. Let's not make any qualms about it. We make comic books. What's the one thing that we love? Boobs. I challenge the chat right now. One of you tell me that you hate boobs. And that includes the women watching this morning. Because we do have women in our audience. Even women don't hate boobs.
Rabbit Hole says you can't get lemonade from a cantaloupe.
So you're not trying hard enough. I'm sorry. That's
one of the things about the about this particular, I guess, reimagining of it is that it also has to weigh up against the weight of the movies, which is it's obvious, but like those movies were not bad portrayals of the thing.
They were pretty good.
And they're like you can just watch them today. Like, there's, if you wanted to watch Chronicles of Narnia, or just read the books, there's having a show based around it where they stretch out the elements of the books and stuff like that is
just read the books. They're really good. This right here, this point in the article is what I'm really concerned about.
They're starting with the book The Magician's Nephew.
Yeah.
It said it'll sidestep the other movies. Despite the promising elements, concerns linger, primarily fueled by Netflix's inconsistent track record with adaptations. The recent stumble with Cowboy Bebop has left fans wary of how the streaming giant handles cherished source material, with Gerwig's feminism so rampant in her movies, she could completely misfire on the Christian allegories of C.S. Lewis's original version that's so beloved by readers.
Yeah.
The thing with the thing I wanted to point out is that the people who did One Piece really looked back at Cowboy Bebop as an example of what not to do. That's why One Piece has the quality that it has. The One Piece series, I should say. And that they decided to stick a lot closer to the source material. Hey, I admit watching Labyrinth and appreciating a little... that
extra
boy in tights brought to the role. There we are, Jamie.
You're allowed to like the boobies.
You're allowed to like the boobies. Yeah.
Thank you for that levity. I appreciate it, Jamie. You are amazing.
With the whole doing if they're going to go with the story of
I have a little faith
of Narnia, right? And they go the last book in the series, because obviously it's a series. They're going to need a lot of content. If they get to the end, towards the end of the stuff, right? Like there's how are they going to reconcile with the Middle Eastern religions and things like that, where it's untouchable territory, right? In the books, they're there's a pretty clear picture painted that these these guys are not of the same kind of.
I'm sorry, I'm not that familiar with the series, but weren't the characters more grown up there towards the end?
Yes.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
So it might be smart casting.
It might be, especially if they're sidestepping and they're moving. So it might be, showing them more grown up. Penny, right?
Well, I mean,
Japanese creator insisted on veto power for One Piece. Cowboy Bebop didn't have that. Yeah, there you go. I think they
I was
also
like,
brought the creator in as a full-fledged advisor too. So, yeah. Go ahead, Whiskey. I'm sorry, I didn't.
I was just more talking about C.S. Lewis' portrayal of the Middle Eastern like characters in the series as being like anti, like they basically portrays them as heathenistic or evil, not recognizing of God, and they're on these like at the very end of the book, like where the whole series, like the very end of the series. So it's like they obviously can't really go there because the connotation will be extremely negative, right?
Yes, Lucy. I forgot her name.
Lucy's in most, as she was young.
She was the youngest, yeah, so she's in most of it, yeah. Hojo saying once he had mentioned that to his wife, she couldn't stop seeing it. For some reason, she listened to Bowie before bed. I know why. Okay, so I love the Grown Ups movies, and it's very funny that where are you from? Saskatchewan. If you know it, you know it. Okay, if you know the scene, you know it. They are all turned on by this nice looking guy at the pool, but he's got a really high voice and he's from Saskatchewan, Canada. So he's got like that accent, right? And so they're all like, that night their ladies all attack him, right? And they're like, where's Saskatchewan? I don't know. They're all asking where Saskatchewan's at. So, yeah. So, if your lady's listening to Bowie after watching Labyrinth, you know why. Whatever works. Whatever works.
Could misfire, like an Etzel with a bad carburetor.
Is that canon, Hojo? Is that the truth? Is that true? I don't know. Once you've had the S word, you aren't a child anymore and can't return to Narnia. I don't know about that.
Could be.
Could misfire.
Seems believable.
All right. Graham Nolan and Mark Miller agree. The indie comic scene needs Marvel, and DC Comics survive. The indie comic scene needs it. So this is controversial for some people. Some people don't believe that we need Marvel and DC, and others do. I don't know what your thoughts are on this. We'll find out. Last week, we reported on Mark Miller's interview with 3 large comic book retailers. This week, John F. Trent interviewed Batman artist and co-creator of Bane, Graham Nolan, on the continuing debate over the state of American comic books. And yes, Nolan agrees with Mark Miller. The indie comic scene needs the anchors of Marvel and DC. Despite what industry shills like Heidi McDonald of The Beat say about the health and quality of American comics, both Mark Miller and Graham Nolan agree that the Big Two is in serious trouble. Both Miller and Nolan offered their advice on how to remedy the situation. Coincidentally, just today we reported that even Mark Waid has now admitted that the comic industry is in trouble. Not surprisingly, both point out the low quality of Marvel and DC comics are the main culprit.
One of the things that bothers me about the Mark Miller thing is that he kind of skips over that part of the reason is progressive politics. He's like, it's not the problem at all. It's quality. I think they go hand in hand. And we talked about that.
I think they do.
He's trying his best to be
neutral and not be canceled. So, but the truth is, it was those progressive policies that started the hiring phases of these people that are not qualified to work in comic books.
I don't know about that. Because a lot of those hiring policies started with a bunch of stereotypical comic fan editors.
Yeah,
like the comic book guy hiring the young chickies to come in and be their assistant.
Yeah, I think it's the culture.
They're calling them work wives.
Well, all right. So I'll give you that it was horny old men, or it was horny nerds.
Didn't
horny
quite
nerds.
Want to go there, but yes,
it was horny nerds that hired chicks they thought were hot. Okay,
cute.
to come in.
You want to be my assistant?
And then they said, you
Okay.
know what? You need to be more politically correct. We need to hire this person because they hit certain demographics.
Mhm.
And then they started hiring in those for those reasons. And the quality just dipped. I mean, it just dipped. When you're hiring someone just because they click off some boxes and not because they're an amazing artist or writer, well then yeah, it's gonna suffer.
Well,
You know.
Axel Alonso admitted, I read in an interview that he brought Sana Amanat on specifically because she checked those boxes and would bring a fresh perspective to the company. Unfortunately, that perspective uh, was pretty much hell bent on destroying the company
Yeah, it didn't sell comic books,
and its
did it?
audience. Yeah.
So they also pointed out something extremely important for independent creators, which went mostly underreported. And what they both pointed out is that the indie comic scene needs Marvel and DC to survive. Considering the context of Miller's interview, he was likely only referring to more mainstream and dead tree versions of indie comics, the kind that are sold in comic book stores, which makes sense. Marvel and DC comics draw foot traffic, eyes in the store, where comic book readers can be introduced to new independent published comic books. Then there is, of course, I guess, of course, I'm not sure,
Yeah, it should be, of
the rich
course.
history of the Marvel and DC characters. But Nolan took the discussion a step further. In his review of the survival of Marvel and DC, would mean more opportunities for creators or a rising tide lifts all boats. As Nolan puts it, he added that he relished creative competition. It brings out the best in comic creators. I do agree with that. When asked on how the health of the big two affected his own endeavors, Nolan stated that the worse Marvel and DC does, the better it is for his bottom line,
Yep.
which is good news for independent creators crowdfunding their own independent books. It has to be kept in mind, though, that Nolan and Miller and others like Chuck Dixon has already made a name for themselves working on Marvel and DC comics. It might be harder for new creatives to get traction in a purely independent and online market. I do kind of agree with that it might be a little more complicated. So what exactly the demise of Marvel and DC would mean for most creators remains anyone's guess. Comparative yearly sales statistics for independent creators is virtually impossible to come by, making it difficult to tell whether there is a correlation between lagging Big Two sales and independent comic sales. That is true. Let's talk about this for a moment, guys. What are your thoughts here? I want to get that picture back up. I like that picture.
It's a huge topic, man, because you can touch any part of that. You can go with the hiring practices. You can go through like the politics or not politics, the quality. You can talk about the decline of it. Like you could say it drops out entirely and it devastates the market. And maybe it's good for indie creators. Maybe it's not. Maybe people will swear off comics entirely and then just read manga. It's a bag of snakes. Like what do you do with it?
No, I like what Russ says here. Creative industries have always been left leaning. True. Comic book publishing just isn't profitable enough for big corporates. Now there's a bunch of people in the industry who care little for comics.
Now, I posted an article on Facebook from Cosmic Book News from a former Marvel and DC editor and got a lot of heat for posting it. That points out, it's Rachel, somebody used to be an editor up there in Marvel and DC. She says that there's a large contingent up there in Marvel and DC that want to see the retailers fail. Flat out. They want to see the direct market as it sits now, the retail shops crumble and have all their business go through bookstores and libraries because they consider the comic book shop to be all toxic masculinity.
Well, we know that the direct market has become kind of a broken thing as of late.
Well, no, not as of late. Really, once the direct market started and Diamond started telling all of the retailers what
Sure.
they should and shouldn't be selling, it became a very toxic. There is a lot of a lot of masculine environment there because of that marketing study they did that pointed out the main buyers of comics were 25 to 55, mostly white, mostly male. And that's the market that they catered to for decades, much to their default. And they should have, Marvel and DC, I mean, should have known better and widened it. They could have widened the market. Diamond could have widened the market this
But it was
entire
enough
time.
for him at the time. So why worry about widening
Yep,
it?
a lot of the retailers that were in there were guys, mostly male, that wanted to get their comics on time and free.
Well, what
so
they
that
were
they can keep up
thinking,
with their favorite hobby.
our demographic is 25 to 55, which means in 25 years, the people that are 25 are going to be
Which-
55. They're
which
still
has
buying
passed.
comics,
Yes.
and they're thinking we're going to keep getting new 25-year-olds.
Yep.
What happened? They didn't. They didn't because they
Well,
never worked on getting new audiences.
Yes, to an extent. I think a lot of that also was that the audience was chased off.
Yeah.
Because
Which,
starting in about 2000, you started getting a lot of overt progressivism brought in. Marvel, Gemis comes to mind. A lot of the Marvel product started sinking. Like I tell everybody, all of my heroes died at Heroes Reborn and Crisis, and they've been replaced by soulless zombies because
Right.
they're not writing heroes anymore. They're not writing superheroes. They're not even really writing characters. They're writing tropes that are very negative or quote deconstructionist unquote, thinking that they're aiming for realism when really all they're aiming or all they're getting is banality and blandness.
Well,
As-
okay.
Can
Let-
I interject for a sec?
Sure.
Because I wanted to comment on Russ's thing. He's talking about comic, like in that same kind of vein of thought that comics have always been left leaning. True, but they haven't been progressive. I like to say cultism. They're completely two different bags of snakes. You know, if you
Yeah, yeah. Things have really gotten progressive. But let me ask this: let's take toxic masculinity argument
But
out of it
politics
for
have
a
also
moment.
gotten polarized as well.
It really has. But let's
Yeah.
take that out of there for a second. Let's just assume that not everybody that's want to make these decisions cares about masculinity, and let's think that they care about the dollars. Okay.
That doesn't
if they
exist
see-
in corporate comics anymore.
Well, let's just assume. Let's just pretend it does. We
Okay.
write fantasy worlds all the time. Play along
Mhm.
with me, Randy.
Mhm.
Let's just pretend that someone is thinking about dollars, and they've seen this industry, the marketing, the way that the distribution model for comic books has worked over the years, has only catered to a certain market, and its attempt to reach a new market has failed so terribly that the only way to make it right, it's obviously way easier to start building something up from scratch than it is to fix something that's dying.
Tear it
Okay?
all down and build off of the ashes.
Build
Is that
off
what you're
the
saying?
ashes. That's what I'm saying.
Well, they
I
got
know
ashes.
this is the same as the ministry scenario, right? It's way easier to start a brand new church than it is to take a church that's in a 20-year decline and try to turn it around.
Mhm.
Okay? As a hospice pastor, that's what I was. I went into a church that was in a 20-year decline. We tried to do a restart. I've been a part of church launches. I've been a chart. It's way easier to start a new business than it is, or to start a new ministry, or to start a new franchise, or to start a new this, than to take something that is so set in its ways, and you have to kind of undo or untangle all the mess that came before you. Could these people be thinking the best solution for a direct market, for comic book publishing, is to let that die so that new innovative ideas can be pursued and new options can be established with a brand new readership? We can reintroduce these amazing IPs to a new group of readers through a different market and a different avenue, and we won't get the pushback because we won't have retailers breathing down our necks about it.
The ideal would be to foster the one while you foster the other,
That would be
So
the
that-
ideal.
so that you don't lose that money and you don't lose that appeal. the thing with comics, the aggravating thing that I see with this new so-called progressivism coming in, is that there were a lot more female readers coming into comics before they got progressive.
Right. True.
You had books like Star Trek, ElfQuest, Sandman that were appealing to a female audience inside of the direct market that they should have fostered and built up. For example, and it's a big one that I love to point out. How come there was never a regular Storm series back when X-Men was raging? When Wolverine started, they should have started a Storm series. They should have started a Rogue series. They should have done a Jubilee individual book. And they could have done it, should have done it, never bothered to do it. Never bothered to even, I mean, Storm maybe got a mini series here and there. And then they punked her out and just completely shut off a large portion of their marketplace by for their appeal for that character by doing it. You know, Black Panther built up a nice readership under Christopher Priest.
What
Even under McGregor, it was building numbers, and because he was building an entire legacy around the character. There was all of this stuff was building before these talentless people got in there and started destroying it. And now it looks like it's being done intentionally.
So let me challenge yet again. Let me challenge with this thought pattern. We know that Warner Brothers spent like $100 million on a Batwoman movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was done, ready to release, and rather than let it hurt their brand, they canned it, right?
Yeah.
So these are people that are not afraid to lose $100 million on something. So the idea that it's better to not lose the money, right? That's not the way these people think.
Well, no.
They can write off the publishing side of it. They're already losing millions of dollars.
The reason Batwoman was canceled is the same reason that Daredevil was canned and that Falcon and Winter Soldier has been canned into rewrites and reshoots, is that they looked at it and saw it was going to hurt their future money. So they would rather take the tax loss, or the tax write-off, I should say, on the cost of making that product and not releasing it than kicking it out and having it kill their market. Because the Batwoman movie, supposedly, from what I heard, killed off Batman, killed off Michael Keaton, like right within the first start of the film. And Zaslav, when he saw that, said, no, that's not going to happen.
So I want to answer Nick's question here. My love of comics didn't start with comics at all. My love of comics started from TV and animation.
Mm-hmm.
It was the properties that I fell in love with. And then I was introduced to really cool characters. In fact, it really was what really got me into the old X-Men was the animated series. It really got me into those old stories and made me start going back. Because before that, I was like Superman and Batman. I really wasn't into the X-Men that much. I was into Spider-Man. I did own a lot of Spider-Man. But I grew up on the Spider-Man cartoon, right? I loved so... but yeah, so it's an animated of a mainstream character. But the real character that got me into comics, and I've said this repeatedly on this show, was He-Man. And He-Man was not mainstream except for it was a toy. It was all developed to sell a toy. We've had John Celestri, who worked on that series on this show. And that was all set up to sell this toy that they had manufactured, like so many things in the 80s were.
Right.
I fell in love with
G.I. Joe, same way.
G.I. Joe the same way. Fell in love with Ninja Turtles the same way.
Yep.
Transformers the same way. All of those properties that I found my way to comics came through all of these other means, right? So for an independent person to try to think that you're going to draw a new audience by making a comic book, it's foolish. It's foolish thinking.
Well, I guess
It is
that's
an
why so many of
antiquated
them
way of thinking.
in this community now are just looking to make that next Netflix deal.
They're looking to make that's why so many are trying to do that rather than take their beloved IP and say, how can I diversify this IP to make it more accessible to people in a video age? Look, we went from reading web pages to images. You had to have an image with everything. And then it went from images to audio. You could finally do audio. You need to have audio. And then it went from that to video. We are in a video age, and the further we go, the shorter the attention span goes, right?
More or less,
So
yes.
like a TikTok video.
Yeah. So
How do you get your comics on TikTok videos?
I honestly don't believe that and here's why I don't believe mainstream DC,
And yet-
Marvel, DC
and yet
have to
comics
survive
now
for our
thrive on
properties
this-
too.
And yet now comics thrive on the 6-issue story, and have
No.
for decades.
Right. But
Yep.
so let me make this argument to you, because here's my real argument. I don't think that Batman and stuff like that have to be around in order for independents to be able to find a way to sell their stories. And here's why I don't believe that. Because now some of the biggest stars in the world are TikTok influencers and YouTubers.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these people are more famous and make more money than big name actors for the studios. These are famous people that are YouTubers and influencers, right? How did they get that way? Because they produced good content in a way that people wanted to consume it and it entertained them. And that's how their Markiplier is a massive star. And he's now got his own movie production company. And his movies will make billions. Look at Eric July. Eric July is able to do what he does because he built an audience based on that. I think that your IP can be a nothing IP that no one's ever heard of. But if you tell the story well and you find a way to present that material to people in a way that they want to consume it, you could have a character that's bigger than Batman. Arguably, we're seeing that happen with a lot of webtoons. There are webtoons that are being picked up by publishers because these were independent stories being produced on a platform that people wanted to consume the stories in. A lot of us slept on that. A lot of us slept on thinking that this is the only way that we can package our work. This is the way to do it. And I'm telling you, I do not think that a Marvel and if you want to keep doing it the way that we've been doing it, yes, Marvel and DC have to be around. If you want to think that the only way for people to find hybrids is that we get into retailers, and the only way retailers are going to be around and have a draw an audience into those stores is by Marvel and DC, absolutely, you're 1000% correct. But if you're creative and you say, look, that's not going to be an option for me in 2024, and you say the only way that I'm going to be able to make it is if I go find where people are consuming entertainment and I package my property in a way that appeals to them, I would argue that if you do it well and you market well and you are good enough at what you do with your art, with your storytelling, that you could be bigger than some of the smaller level characters on Marvel or DC. That's my argument. That's where the new readers are at. The new readers are not in comic book shops. We've proven that because they've catered so long to the males that are 25 to 55.
They've been successfully chased off too ever since about 2016.
They have. We've chased them off.
Marvel and DC have Bud Lighted this industry.
Yeah. Now there's nothing.
It's that simple.
I am in the market that they're going that they typically
That
went for.
doesn't
43.
mean people stop reading, just like they're not stopping drinking beer. They're just figuring out a different way.
Finding
to do
a different beer to do
and finding a better taste.
Why are independent brewers? Why are small brewers so popular?
Right.
Why are people willing to pay more for an IPA?
Mm-hmm.
There in Jacksonville, we had this little place called Grassroots or whatever it's called. I think it was called Grassroots. and they didn't sell the mainstream beers. They sold small brewery stuff, and they made a killing in there.
Mhm.
I mean, it was high end. You knew that, and you just had to try out the stuff. You had to taste it, right? Just because my beer tastes better, right? And that's the thing. I think that a lot of the indie stuff tastes better, and when we just have to make indie cool, right? But the problem is indies fight too much to make indie cool. We can't get along. Everybody's like, no, mine's better. We can't.
It's a competitive market.
No, Nicholas, they're not. That's the problem. Just like with
No,
the
they're not.
Marvels, just like with modern so-called movies, they're chasing off more audience than they're bringing in.
Well, I'll tell you what, they're certainly bringing, the manga and stuff is bringing an audience. Because when you go to a convention, that's what it's full of. There's hardly any comic book related stuff there at all.
The thing about manga is that it didn't happen overnight. It was a long build up to where it is now. Dragon Ball Z, Pokemon,
Accessibility.
all caught the kids when they were younger, and as they get older, there's material out there of substantial quality to keep them there and keep them entertained and to keep them coming back. That was the whole key with Marvel back in the 60s, 70s, and early 80s, is that they did a product that was great, that was highly entertaining, and that brought people back. That's where the entire collectible addiction really came from, out of, is the fact that quality was there. The books are great. And a lot of them are still evergreen. That doesn't hold true to the product that they're doing today.
Yeah, Frederick says the European market seems to be fine. Hasn't been infected by the woke mind virus. That's very true. And he also says the indies fight because of testosterone. I don't know that it's testosterone so much as it is fear. I think it's fear that someone else's property might make it and yours won't. I think that's really what it is. That somebody else is going to get there before you do, or that someone else is going to get the dollar from that pocket before you do, because there's only so much money to go around. And rather than work together as a collective,
yeah.
It really is. It's a Beavis and Butthead mentality. It is a crab in the bucket mentality. We have seen this even amongst the Fund My Comic crowd, where there are people that, well, I put my book up there and people didn't buy my book, so I'm mad. I'm mad at you, Luke. Somehow Luke is responsible for selling my book. No, that was on you to sell your book. If you presented a compelling enough story and you presented your page well enough, and we help you present the best page you can, then you would have.
And you had a good audience.
Yeah, then you would have made, or you would have drawn some of the other audience that's there. We have a 20% crossover rate, where if someone comes on from one campaign, 20% of the people that actually visit other campaigns are buying or backing, contributing to other campaigns other than the one they went to the website to contribute to. That's a huge number. Huge percentage. And
that's actually impressive, actually.
It is. And again, no need to panic. 1,000 dedicated fans will give you a good living. That's what we're trying
to. The middlemen have been cut out.
Yeah. So there is so much freaking out, right? But we do have to pay our creative dues, and no one wants to hear that. You kind of have to work through it, and you have to create a name for yourself. It doesn't happen overnight. And that's where a lot of indies make the dire mistake of thinking that if I hire this artist, if I hire this writer, my property will blow up overnight. Some people's properties will, but not everybody's. Not everybody's. Sometimes it takes years to become an overnight success.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. We look at
goes back to manga. Even Scholastic. You go back, Scholastic didn't just start producing Dogman yesterday.
I always like to bring up Nintendo argument. It took them over a decade to get to the status they are today with those characters. And they're like perfect example of that. You have to build up over time with consistency. And when you do that with consistency, you're eventually going to make it, but it can take decades or multiple decades.
Yeah. God gave creative people the creativity they need to develop new ways of platforming and promoting their work. They did. I think that if the Marvel and DC fail, the direct market fails, my prediction is that it will create necessity, and innovation will spring forth from it.
Always
That's
does
what I
in
think.
this. Always does in this industry.
Yeah,
It's been proven over and over again. My big thing is that people need to wake up. They're finally realizing that the problem is there. They're realizing there's a cause for that problem, but is anybody trying to correct it at this point? It
right.
sounds like a lot of the retailers, like Chuck and that, have kind of given up and said, "Yeah, we're doomed."
What are
And
the
they're the ones in the trenches. They're the ones that see the
Right.
day to day, the dollar to dollar, the bills that they have to cover, that kind of thing. Let's hope, and I'm an optimist when it comes to this. Let's hope that one, there's going to be a new accessible format that'll spring out, that'll go in a lot of different places than just the direct market. And
Right.
two, somebody or some folks, more than one publishers or whatever, are going to come in with products that'll help the direct market survive, while Marvel and DC and their publishing so-called philosophies dwindle into nothing.
Right. Okay. So let
You know,
me.
if that happens, especially if it happens together, this art form could turn out to be stronger than ever by next year.
I do. Yeah, I do have
Easily.
another possible prediction that if, let's say, if the direct market fails, I believe that you will see groves of indie creators stop creating. I think
I-
that the
I think what-
that
I-
the
I think
crabs will walk
exactly-
away.
Yes, I think exactly the opposite's going to happen. You're going to see a lot of that secondary creativity in the indie market walk away. But I think most importantly, you're going to see a lot of these corporate people, especially the ones that are out there to hurt this industry, leave. And they need to leave. They need to go.
And I think
They
you're going to
were-
see good talent from the mainstream.
They're already begging
From
for
corporate
money
comics.
for sandwiches.
Yeah, but I think you're going to
They
see
need to
good
go.
talent that's in the corporate comics. They're going to start making indie books. All right, or it's going to make some of those artists available.
Honestly, there's
for the
not
indies
that
that are
much
doing pretty good.
talent. There's not that much talent of that ilk left on this continent. There's a lot of folks
Oh, not on this continent. Yeah.
everywhere else that are doing it, but you get away from the United States and Canada, comics has a completely different mindset, and maybe Great Britain as well. That you get away from that, comics, sequential art has a completely different mindset, and it's looked at as high art. And that's the kind of mindset that we need to do here. And if it means that they have to tear down the direct market, like you said, then that's what happens. If it gives some respectability back to this art form.
there's
I
can I interject for a second?
Yeah, go for it.
There's a concern as well as like if there's this idea that if it completely burns out and fails, we're going to have this phoenix moment where you have rise from the ashes, but it is possible it just won't ever rise again. And one of the concerns that or a really big concern of mine is that comics is a pillar of Western culture. It is one of the foundational things that hold up like creativity of the West. It drove media for, I don't know, over 100 years, I guess.
It drove a lot of stuff.
Exactly.
Really did.
If
You
it
go back into
fails,
the history of comics, yeah, yep.
if it fails and it tumbles with the big two and it's gone, there may not be a recovery, but there also may not be a recovery for the culture of the West, which means a lot of worse problems.
Yeah, yep. I think
Well,
we're seeing that too.
That's
do.
true. I mean that's that's a viable concern.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna say that's not.
Let's hope it's
I
not.
will say this. I will say this though. The tenacity and creativity of the independent artist is not something easily destroyed. Okay.
You're not going to see comics as a form of self-expression ever go away.
Yeah, you're
There'll
never going to
always
see
be
that.
somebody out there. Even if we're like Steve Ditko in our later years, sitting in our apartment doing 1 or 2 graphic novels a year to a mailing list.
Yeah,
It's
you
not
you
gonna go
will
away.
see. I believe that you will see a lot of these. I really I can't think of a word that is not going to be offensive, because some people will feel like they're lumped in that, and they're not. Not everybody is. Some people will stop because they can't afford to make the comic,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And there's people out there that are making good books and can barely afford to make the books. They're working full time. Crowdfunding offsets that for them, so they're still able to make the books, right? Then there's some people that just make crap. They're going to
Yep.
stop because they're not going to make any money, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
Go back to the drawing board, work on your craft, get a little bit better. There are people that complain about the cost of entry into comic books is so low, that so many people come in and make a comic book, and that's why you get so much bad independent comic books. Why there's so much bad stuff out there.
There's some out there, but there's also some really good quality stuff out there from decent publishers who realize that it's cheaper to make a comic than to make a movie.
Yeah. Well, Tony Armour.
John Byrne still does his own X-Men. He stopped a few months ago, as far as I know, Nicholas. I haven't been up to his site in a while to see if he's still posting new stuff. But last time I knew, he's in pretty close to retirement.
Yeah, like I have guys that make movies that are, hey, Luke, draw my book, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's easier to make it a graphic novel than it is to make it a movie. It's cheaper to hire my team to get it done. And that's fine. I think that's another great way to tell stories. And those guys are being very creative on how they distribute their work.
Mm-hmm.
They're being creative. Innovation is coming from those guys finding a cheaper way to tell the stories they want to tell than trying to make a movie or a film, and finding a way to get it to their fans, to the people they want to sell the story to. So I think that you're going to see innovation in this. I think you're going to see new things pop up and spring forth. I don't see the doom and gloom
Another
with
thing
Marvel and DC's failure that a lot of people do.
Another thing I think you'll see on the corporate front, if they stop doing their own publishing, is them licensing those characters out to other people to do. And give me a section of that Marvel universe and let me write a few stories. There's a lot of us that feel that same way. We've all got our favorite characters that we would love to do a story of or with, if given that opportunity.
Well, here's my problem with doing one of those characters. I would want to tell the story that I'm telling with my hybrids folks. Yeah. But I wouldn't.
Well,
I don't want to do that.
Created your own characters to do that with.
Right. Yeah. So I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to take on one of those properties because I want to tell the story I'm telling right now.
Yeah.
What I want to do is find a way to get those stories that I'm writing into a broader audience.
Well,
right.
That's the whole idea. If your icons don't service your needs, you create better icons.
Right. But this was never about creating a better icon. This was about, IP. I believe that my IP is good enough to stand up with those.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I believe that the characters I create are good enough to stand next to Batman and Superman and
I think we all
Wolverine,
feel that way.
right? So that's why I do that. Not only because I'm passionate about it, but because I believe these characters are good enough for that. And I believe the stories are good enough that they will enrich the readers' lives.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I take the chances that I do with trying to get out there. But I think that there is a lot of opportunity. I think that you're going to see the people that are willing to work together, the coalitions that take place. That is what's going to make a big difference moving forward with independent books. People finding creative ways to get their ideas out there,
mm-hmm.
I think is going to be vital moving forward. Yeah. Not just relying on the floppy. We've relied on the floppy for a long time. And even for the last decade, independent books, we've said graphic novels are more lucrative for an independent person, even though they're more expensive on the front end.
It's amazes me that the art form has opened up as much as it has the last 30, 40 years, but the format has stagnated in the
Right.
worst way. Decompressed storytelling, 6 issues to tell a story, on and on, stuff like that. You have to fit the bag, to fit the board, to fit the slab, or whatever. And that we should be going in every direction.
Should do everything we want to do.
Yeah.
If it's
What
cheaper
other-
to create a digest sized comic, do that. If it's cheaper to create a black and white comic, do that. Whatever it takes to get the
magazines.
book there. Or magazine.
Newspaper. No
Look,
staples. No
look at what's
cover.
happening with Iron Age, with the Anvil magazine, right?
Yeah.
People are putting their comic book stories in there. I just finished the inks for a 14-page story that's going in that next book, and we should have the colors for that and the letters done by the end of the week. It's amazing what's happening there. You look at what's happening. People are writing stories for Comics Illustrated that the Wheelers are doing over there. People are putting out, and they're putting articles in there. They're putting all kinds of stuff in there. You see what's happening. I mean, there's these, whether if you don't like a book from one group, buy a book from another group. People are finding a way to get their stories out there in a collective manner. And it's just really cool to think that you can still consume stories if you're creative. There's ways to do it. There's ways to get it out there. And people get so caught in the right there. See, Frederick has got a book coming out in Anvil 3.
So it kind of
There you go,
reminds me of Ed
There's a
Greenwood.
lot of great characters out there nobody's using. Go ahead. Whiskey, sorry.
Ed Greenwood, prolific fantasy novelist, hundreds of books, did the whole Forgotten Realms thing for Dungeons and Dragons, literally hundreds of books, but gigantic universe. He started out doing little short stories in what Dragon magazine and other magazines, where he put his characters forward and then eventually tied all those characters together into novelization form. But he started out magazines and short little blips and stuff like that. So it's a good way to get into it. I mean, like even in my own works, I have 2 characters set aside from an event in the book that will allow me to tell short stories from their perspective for the future. So I plan for that eventuality. So like you get used to the main comic story, you like the characters, put in a couple funny characters that can be thrown into short stories and to fill out the content for exactly this kind of stuff, right? So it's ways of just simple ways of doing stuff that long term.
True. I think people are also looking for these big bucks, right? They want to do it in a 30 or 60 day format. I don't think those times are with us anymore. That's why I was really looking to do with Fund My Comic as long of a campaign as you need to generate those funds. A lot of people would do that with, and what gave me that idea is seeing the success that some of these YouTubers were having with their comic books over the course of months, if not years, of running a campaign while they're producing their book. And when I say years, I mean that quite literally, and almost as a joke in some cases, that it takes so long. But to see some of the numbers that they generate over time with constant promotion, using a timed format in order to raise the initial funding that they desire, but then over time pushing to get a little bit here, a little bit there, and keeping it at the forefront of promoting, always talking about the book that they're working on. I think that kind of inspired me a little bit to allow for some of these. If you see some of these campaigns, 57 days to go. It's been going for quite a while already. It's like a 3 or 4 month campaign because it's going to take 3 or 4 months to do it. So why not keep the campaign up and people know like, oh, well, I want to, let's get it funded initially. Let's keep it going. Rini promotes this campaign all the time. She initially made $20,000. She's over $26,000 right now. We still get tips from this campaign every week.
Mm-hmm.
Hojo in his second book is not a YouTuber, is not a former pro. $7,000 he's made on this campaign as a second campaign. And he's got 145 backers. I am very impressed by that. Not wasting time on building a YouTube, because that's not what he does. I do the YouTube thing because I like doing this. I hate being called a YouTuber. Hate it. Absolute despise being called a YouTuber, because I'm not. I do like putting things out there for people to look at. I've not had a viral video. Even our live streams, we don't have hundreds of people that come in and hang out in our live stream chats. I think we're too early for a lot of people on a Thursday morning. Everything I do is very niche. The only thing that's not niche these days is this Fund My Comic thing. It just seems to have kind of taken off for people. But this is a fun opportunity, a good way for people to come buy comic books, I think, is finding them in one place. I think that the timed campaigns work well, but I think the storefront model works even better, because this allows people a way to shop, right? To look and see what's live, what's active. If you want to sell a book, I think this is a great way to do it. I think a lot of people should be taking greater advantage of continuously selling things. We have our aerocomics.store.
Which
And
will be greatly added to this.
It will be.
Yep.
Um,
with new and old stuff.
So we'll have more things available for you on here.
Yep.
But look, having an ongoing storefront, I think, is so important. If you can do your own website, great. But you know what? You can still get some of these books up on My Comic, because we know that not everyone's going to go to just this store. Now, we're trying to find ways to drive more traffic to our store. We're trying to find more innovative ways. Let me show you something very innovative that I'm doing this year. You're not going to see me crowdfund much of my own stuff on Fund My Comic. You're going to see the big ones. But I'm so busy with a lot of other people's stuff. So I'm doing this thing. In fact, next week, we're getting ready to kind of do away with, if you're a channel member, I'm going to ask you, if you would prefer not to be a channel member anymore, but I would ask you to do this, become a member of my website. You'll get early access to content. So basically, I'll be posting pages every week. You'll get access to new pages of stories. And then when a book is finished and it's compiled, you will get a physical version of that book mailed to you at no extra cost whatsoever. And if you decide to become a yearly member, you actually save $5. You save $10. So you pay for 10 months. You get it for $50 instead of a 12-month membership. If you did it monthly, it'd be $5 a month, right? I think that's how that works. Yes. I think I did the math right in my head. So for $50 instead of for $55, instead of for $5 a month, you do a yearly, $50 one time. For the year, you have full access to it. You sign in and you'll have access to that part. You just go to the members access area and you'll be able to access specific content just for you. Did you not get your book? You should have gotten your book already. Like we were shipping out. What did you back? Email me, luke@fundmycomic.com, and I'll ask you about that, because I thought we had all the full out, with the exception of the artwork that Randy had to do. Like
we have
just a couple
tier.
of things.
The second tier, the second bundle tier is not fulfilled yet.
Oh yeah. Oh, did you get a bundle?
Sorry, Nicholas. If you got a bundle, we're still finishing up the second tier. Chrome Dog and Revolt 2 are coming. They'll be here pretty quick.
In 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, we'll be shipping those out. Yeah, we'll
get past that campaign.
Yeah.
So-
Well, yeah. Well, what's happened is
And the
package
artist, the artist
should
that
arrive
do
today.
art, that's my responsibility. I have one more drawing to go,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
there's only 3 anyway. I've got 2 of them already done.
Yeah. Please send
That's
me a
coming.
DM. Please
We're
send me
gonna
a DM.
We're gonna
Wait.
get past that.
We did have USPS lose a couple of packages
Oh boy.
that I've had to resend out, which we overprinted. So we've had enough. So yeah, but all the single issues have gone out, and all of the digitals have gone out.
We really want to get
So-
past that campaign so that we can throw the
Yeah.
full up into the store. So which
Yeah,
will happen
yeah,
here
Chrome
as soon as
Dog-
that campaign's done.
Chrome Dog, the print run should be there today. It's being dropped off at Justin's house. So I was gonna have it shipped here, but you know what? Honestly, there's nothing like seeing your first book in print,
There you go.
and he needs that moment for himself.
Yeah, he does.
You know, he doesn't need to see that. He doesn't need to do it here. He needs to have it for himself. He can bring him with him.
If
when
you've
he
done
comes.
it, you know there's nothing like it.
There's nothing like it, right?
Nothing like it.
And it turned out to be a great book, so I'm really happy about it.
It's going to be a good product. Yep.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
of course,
you'll be
we
getting Chrome
apologize
Dog.
for the
Yeah, it's
delay,
gonna be good.
So we're getting it.
Yeah.
We're getting it done.
Chrome Dog was delayed because of Patrick was so busy. We had a little mix up in his time schedule to be able to get it. So we just I took a little extra time on the art. And so since I had it, I was like, let's take the extra time and make it really good. And so that book looks fantastic.
So I cried when I got my first batch of books. Yep.
I think he will too, man. That book looks
Never
so
forget it.
good.
Yep.
The book looks so good. Had a lot of background whiskey. I had to mute you. It was crazy loud. Yeah, that was whiskey. I got him.
Yeah,
Yep.
Sorry. He's there grinding his axe, is what it is.
Yep.
No, it's a kettle.
Got the little stone.
He's got to make
working.
that coffee. He just had to do it.
Yeah, he did.
So I encourage people to check out this membership thing. You will get the hybrids books as they get done. You'll get updates on those starting weekly, maybe daily, starting in 2024. So we're trying to get everyone to move over to this. It's just $5 a month across the board. You'll also get access. I'm going to have another section that's going to have access to lessons for doing dulcimer for worship music, which won't apply to you guys, but it'll apply to a different audience that I'm starting to develop by accident almost. So yeah, so this is something new and I'm trying out. This could be a massive success or it could be a huge failure. Not sure yet. So we're just trying. We're just starting. So this is something that we're doing. We may offer digital comics, like something on Arrow Comics. We're not sure yet. We're still working
Arrow
on.
Comics. We're already offering digital.
We're offering
comics.
digital.
If you go over to digital, there's
Yeah,
2
but-
issues of Spank the Monkey, freshly colored, over there, available for your viewing and reading pleasure.
Yeah.
That no one has seen the colors on those.
Yeah. So
unless you bought the digital file here.
yeah. So there's you can buy PDFs here, but
It's like a whole different animal too. I'm telling you.
yeah, but we're looking at maybe doing like a subscription where you get free access to comics all the time. You can just
Mhm.
whatever you read, whatever's new, it's just part of the monthly thing. You have access to that part of the site, and so we're working on a bunch of new ways to get stories to you guys and get content to you guys. So I think that's, you have to think out of the box. Could the market fail and it kill us all? Yeah, it could. It could. But I'm optimistic.
I don't see it doing that. You might see 1 or 2 of the distributors go out, a lot of retailers go out, but the comics are not gonna
Yeah.
die off as
Yeah.
an art form. It's just not gonna happen. There's too much area for self-expression. It's like music, independent music.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
Think about it. There
where
are
there's a
artists
will,
right
there's a
now.
way. Yeah.
There are artists out there that have become famous, musical artists, and they have circumvented mainstream altogether.
Oliver Anthony just did the Grand Ole Opry. I don't think anybody's ever been invited on there that's that much of an independent artist before.
That McDonald guy, the rapper,
Tom McDonald, yeah.
Tom McDonald. I mean,
He's evolving. He's evolving his music around too. He's done a couple of pop numbers that are really well written.
yeah,
Not
very cool
not
stuff.
quite the rap stuff that he started out doing. So yeah.
Yep. So unfortunately for Mom's sake, I'm still going to be doing comics next year. No, Mom would have been proud. No, I think I'm looking forward to.
I'm glad your mom would have been proud.
I don't see anybody like 2024 is my year. No one's saying that. I think it's election year. It's going to be rough. I mean, let's not be naive that it's not going to be a challenge. It's going to be a lot of work.
This political garbage is just going to get worse. All of the polarization, all the more reason for there to be good quality entertainment out there to give people a release and an escape.
Like-minded creators are going to have to stick together.
Yep.
Yeah, we're going to have to stick together. We're going to have to put our heads together and try to find a way to weather the storm together. We have to create a shelter. That's what Arrow is. If on my comic, it's a shelter for people.
In the 80s, that's what it is now. Yep.
That's what it'll be now. Yeah. So we're going to have a good time with it.
Yep.
It could be snowing outside, could be snow on the ground, could be winds blowing. But we're trying to build a house of bricks that'll weather the storm. And so we're going to keep working towards that end. Find people that are doing what you want to do and start to model your business after that. Get creative. Find ways to build things up.
Make an effort to be positive.
Right.
As opposed to trollish, negative, and biting and grabbing at everybody in the crab bucket. Need to get beyond that and work on your product. Get a product out there you're proud of and market it and push it as best as you can in every aspect that you can. Who knows where this market is going to end up at? And anybody that's been following this market has seen it's going in about 3 or 4, probably a dozen directions at once. Not all of them positive, but you never know where it's going to end up. And if you've looked at history, and I swear I'm getting back on my history book this year. If you've looked at comic history, you know that there have been times that this market has sucked and looks like it was going to die. The Comic Code Authority springs in, the war ends, and superheroes are no longer popular for a good decade and a half. There's all sorts of hurdles that have come up in this market. Every time somebody's figured out a workaround, and the market's only been healthier because of it. We're in a low point right now. Everybody knows it. Now it's time to get around it, figure the get around, and get it out there to the masses, not just to our niche markets, but we need to get out there to as wide an audience as possible and show them how great this art form is. That's what we need to do.
Yeah, comics never die.
They still made comics during the Great Wars. It survived.
Comics boomed during World War II. It was a major factor in helping keep the forces spirited, especially if you look at Wonder Woman. But that's a whole nother story. Yeah. But and during hard economic times, usually comics just boom, literally boom. We're not seeing that quite yet, but I think that's because the corporates are holding them back.
You know what's really popular? Fantasy. Fantasy is very popular. Yeah. I've made a huge failure on marketing my series because it just falls into that niche of superhero when really it's historical fiction, like a modern take on fiction for religious lore and things like that. I don't play that angle enough. I was informed the other day that I need to market more to that end. And I'm no expert in marketing. Clearly, I'm not. I'm a creative individual.
We're all learning.
That comes up with big ideas.
It's how well you learn from these lessons that's going to make you or break. Yeah, I'm telling you.
I would love.
People have come out of nowhere and have made big money.
I would love to make friends with that marketing genius.
Yeah,
I would love to work with that marketing genius. That understands how all that works and could be on my team. Because I'm a big idea guy, right? From my comic, big idea. Iron Age distribution, big idea. We've got new ways that we're looking at how that's going to launch. But with the cost of printing these days, I mean, printing right now, printing books, especially the old way with floppies, seems like it's not going to be a viable option in 2024 for a lot of people. So your options are either printing with a group, so collecting them all in one book together to print to make it more viable, or to print in a different format, or to do graphic novels and market for months, hoping that you can get the dollars to cover the print runs, or to get or print overseas. I refuse to print overseas.
Hate to say that, hate to recommend that at all, because you don't know how shipping's going to go.
I
You don't
refuse
know
to do that.
when the next hassle's going to come up, and suddenly there's a big load up at the docks, and your book's sitting there for 6 months trying to get to you.
Yeah,
And
I want to give
POD,
money.
The print on demand guys have got to come around, and they've got to understand that they're crippled themselves by jacking their prices up as high as they have, and the print on demand publisher, good, fast, or cheap. You know, guys, you need to start looking at your price schedules, because we all know, everybody in this business who's done any research, paper hasn't gone up that much. It hasn't gone up as much as you've rose your prices.
As much as I hate to
gouging
say
going
it,
on, and it's got to stop.
as much as I hate to say it, go ahead. I'm sorry.
We talked actually about an alternative method a little while ago, you and me, about printing yourself with some higher quality printers for smaller runs. Still an option.
It is. I mean, and that's one of the things that I've looked into or started looking into. You know, a
Back in the 90s and
2000s, doing my own print company.
Everybody was hitting the copy center and doing their own ash cans and selling them for $5. 8.5 by 11s folded in half and stapled on the spine. I think that age is going to come back really quick, especially because these guys want to gouge their prices.
Well, some of the newer printers and stuff, like the quality is pretty nice. Like you can get some really decent stock, and
I think you're going to see I think you're going to see a readjustment in their prices once, you know, competition.
Nick says I'm going back to printing it on printer paper and stapling it.
There you
and
go.
Maybe that's what you do with a smaller format. Hey, if you do it digest, you could do it on an 8.5 by 11.
You can get that stapler at Staples of all places for about $75. That's got that you can staple right on the spine of an 8.5 by 11 and just fold it.
You can get it on Amazon. And
it takes
so,
a little bit of effort.
I mean,
you'll have to do it while you're watching TV. You can't watch, you know, maybe you won't be able to watch as much YouTube, but you can do it, and you can make.
Yeah, and I mean that's you know, so one of the options that I've been considering is, would it be viable to have a business that does on-demand printing at the lowest cost possible for independents for print on demand? How could you make that a viable business? What kind of machine do I need? Who do I need to run that? Obviously, you know, there's got to be an option out there, but
I was
maybe
so
as a part of
disappointed at my local print on demand guy for jumping the prices up like they did. Just inexcusable. Sad to see.
With the print on demand stuff for Luke, if you want to do is independently, like if you tie it into Fund My Comics somehow as an expenditure of the overall profit and make it dirt cheap, and then somehow get that to make that generate more customers. Somehow, if you can tie it all together, then at dirt cheap, it's not a loss. It's just more customers.
The idea is not to have to make a profit, but to cover the expense and have enough money that we could put aside for when there's a problem with the machinery. Because that's what happened with my print on demand guy that I was working with. His machine went down, right? And he can't afford to fly in the repairman to fix it. Right. So he has to use someone else's machine. And now a book that costs $250 to print is now costing like $5-6 to print. And I'm like, I can't do that. Right.
No.
And so a company like Comic Impressions, they're able to do books at that price point that is viable, mostly because they have this huge operation and everything is in-house, and they're already printing so much they've got people there. Like they're prepared for all that. So in order to make a business like that work, we would have to have a place to house it, which honestly, a cheap rent storage unit would be fine to do that work in. I learned that in Florida. Did you know that? There were printers and businesses that ran out of storage units in Florida.
Seen a
I was
whole
like,
bunch
what are
of
you
them.
doing that? Yeah,
Yeah,
there was a
but you're
body
cheap.
shop that was running out of a storage unit in Florida.
Wow, crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, are you allowed to do that? Like, absolutely.
No,
I've
No.
seen office workers
legally,
working
but
out
there
as
you
a-
go. You do it anyway.
I used to work as a mover, right? And I used to see office workers like just full on doing their whole business, like just all kinds of crazy businesses
Yeah,
that
it's
don't have a storage unit.
it's
Like in China
it's
now,
way
we're
cheaper. It's
getting-
$100 a month
China.
for an 8 by 10 unit, which is more than enough room for a printer and the stock that you're going to need, for that stuff. And I'm like, look at that. Okay, so you can lease the equipment. So we've kind of looked, and Phil and I are looking into even all of that stuff. Like,
Must be
is it
insane.
viable to launch a business to do print on demand, and could we do it through as a connection to Fund My Comic? Could we do that? And so that's even something I'm looking at 2024. Not like I need to start another freaking business.
There you go. That's
but
right. Yep.
but
If you
those are the
have
kind of
to, you have
ideas I have. I'm not a marketing guy.
And you
But
wonder
I'm an
why you're
idea guy.
exhausted all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, I get real. I'm like, I never sleep. I'm probably going to be doing a lot less commissions next year, just to be honest. Probably not going to do as many. Only because I'm trying a lot of different things. I'm going to start focusing more on building my direct immediate audience, and I'm going to be doing it through. I'm going to be doing it through LukeStoneStudios.com. I'm going to be doing it through this membership
as
section.
well. Yep.
Going to be doing it through aerocomics.store as well. So these are the things that we're going to try to grow is all of these. Yeah, I need to get more digitals posted.
Yep. And more physicals.
Yep. And I'm going to be doing it through fundmycomic.com.
Bunny's comment there. He's, I'm still waiting for Crack Boom Coffee. When's the coffee coming?
The coffee is coming next year. We're going to be doing a probably in March. I'll be doing a crowdfunding campaign for our pre-orders. So I'll let people go ahead and pre-order through that. That way I can go ahead and place the orders. I'm just working on branding. The only thing that's holding that up is finishing the branding. I have everything else picked out. We know pricing. All that's all worked out. It's just supplying the coffee now at this point. Getting that going. So that's it. That's what we got going. But it is so easy for us just to sit around and complain and to whine about all that's negative and bad. It's hard to have a positive outlook. It's so hard to have a positive outlook, I think, these days. I think if we're creative and innovative, we can do a lot of good things.
Yeah.
It's all about building up more than you tear down. I challenge everyone that is watching today, everyone that watches this playback, to try to think of one new innovative thing that you can do and you can offer to the independent comic book and publishing industry that might somehow not just be a benefit to you, but might be a benefit to others as well. Because I don't need to be the only one coming up with all the ideas and all of the things that will help people. I saw so many people complain this week, Randy, about how, well, Eric is making all that money, but he's not promoting anybody. Well, it's not his obligation to promote anybody but himself. He built that platform for himself.
We've had our discussions about Eric off camera.
Right.
I still hold to those thoughts.
I know. And I mean, but
okay. Russ
I have
says,
my opinions of him.
Teams make life easier. I stream with Randy 2 shows a week and we discuss art. Randy bears the brunt of that by having to organize and host, but we are also working on books that I draw. Teams work.
Teams do work.
March 1st,
Find your
folks,
team.
Shadow Kingdom. Russ is doing the best work of his career. We're adapting a Robert E. Howard story. It's just looking phenomenal. I can't wait to start lettering on it. It's going to be a nice large book, well worth the cost of admission. March 1st, it'll be up on fundmycomic.com. For more information on that, russleach.com. Go over and sign up now for a mailing list. Glenn says, I have an idea how printers can save paper. Everyone draw on the computer. Oh, wait.
Oh, I love you.
Nice
I love
to see
you,
you in the
Glenn.
house,
on the
Glenn.
nose.
It's good to see you. Sorry to hear about your loss, my friend.
Folks, we do I do 2 podcasts early morning, earlier than this. Well,
Yep.
except for on Sunday. I'm Sunday 9 a.m., Sunday Funnies, and Comics by Night, which is on Fridays at 5 a.m. Whiskey's there, Russ is there, Glenn is there. We look at some great sequential artwork where we talk positive, try to talk about this industry and the business, the nuts and bolts of page construction and inking and that kind of thing in a positive light, using some of the great masters in sequential art as examples. That's Comics by Night, 5 a.m. on Fridays. Sunday Funnies, 9 a.m. on Sundays. We are archived over at the Indie Comics Network, the Randy Zim YouTube channel, and Comic Book Black Belt YouTube channel for your listening and viewing pleasure. So go over there and take a look. My
Yes.
next year is already scheduled. I have a bucket list of about 6 projects that I'm going to be working on, one right after another. Shadow Kingdom, the Aniverse Omnibus. There's a Varsel's Vixens book in process coming. I've got a couple of other books that I'm literally sitting on that I need to complete to get out there. My history book using My Little Monkey. It's all on a list, and I can't wait to get to each and every one of them. So make sure you go out there and do your best and make great products. Make this industry better.
Yeah.
Do your best to make this
Yep.
industry as good as you possibly can.
Next week, episode 98, the first episode of the new year.
We
And,
wish you a great
Yep.
2024.
Yep. Please go out there, drink responsibly, because I know you're going to. I know you're going to drink. Please drink responsibly. Please be careful out there. Oh, wait, I'll save that for the end.
Save that for the end.
We want you guys to have a good time. We're going to go ahead and close the stream down. We're going to just close down a little early today. I do have a doctor's appointment. I
It's-
got to get to my
it's
wife, my
It's
daughter.
like our programs. Early is just on time. So
Yeah, just on time. Do appreciate everybody for showing up today. Great crowd we've got right now watching the show, hanging out with us.
good.
And
numbers.
we do hope, good numbers going. Please hit the like, the subscribe button. Again, don't forget to go over to Luke Stone Studios and check out the membership. I would love to have your membership over there. We're going to be starting next week. I'm going to start publishing new content into that section of the site every week. Okay, so we're working on that this weekend. Don't forget to check out Anvil. If you haven't already backed it, go over there and back it. You'll be getting a new story from me. Some of my favorite work that I've done. I love drawing orcs and Vikings, and I get to draw both of those in there. And I'm having a lot of fun drawing these orcs. I also got a great new book for Christmas called Dynamic Anatomy by Will Eisner. And Expressive Anatomy is what it is. And man, have I already started putting some of those tips and tricks to use. So lots of good
Dynamic
stuff.
Anatomy, also a great book by Bern Hogarth.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. Dynamic Anatomy. Yep. So,
It's on my list.
You can never go wrong with an Eisner book.
yep. And you're going to get a lot more.
Instructions.
I'm learning. Guess what, Randy? I'm going to happen by a lap steel guitar. And I'm going to also learn lap steel in the new year. So,
Yeah, that's awesome.
Lap steel? What is
yep.
that?
So, lap steel. It is a 6-string guitar that you
Okay.
play on your lap with a slide. So it
okay,
uses
sliding
similar
guitar.
tuning to the
Yeah.
dulcimer. So it uses similar tuning as the dulcimer. And so things with the dulcimer are progressing very quickly for me.
That's
So-
that instrument you see played all the time on Hee Haw.
Yeah.
I
So we're gonna
think
give it a
Dr. Hook-
shot.
You're familiar with
Sorry,
Dr.
Vic.
Hook, right? Or Dr. Hook?
Dr. Hook and the
Yeah,
Medicine Show.
Yeah. Think that. That's where you see a lot of this.
Yeah. So I'm gonna add that to the repertoire. And I'm gonna be doing videos on that stuff. But I've got a lot of requests for dulcimer videos on how to play the dulcimer for modern worship, which is all I do is convert that instrument to modern worship songs for church. So I'll be doing a lot of that, and I'm writing I'm writing material now in my free time, very limited free time, but I am writing.
These slides are hella fun.
I will do that. I will look them up.
Okay.
Yep. Look them up. So guys,
Can't go wrong with Eisner. No,
you can never go wrong with Eisner. It's been a fun day. Thank you guys. Thanks panel for being here with me today. And this show has changed a lot since the beginning of the year, since the first episode of the year to this last episode of the year. We have developed a lot. We've changed a lot. We've gotten a lot more comfortable, I think, in our formatting and what we do here. Looking forward to what 2024 may hold. And hopefully next week we can start out the year with even more positive news than how we're ending the year. Looking forward to what those December numbers were for graphic novels and comic books. And guys, remember, build up more than you tear down, leave that woodpile higher than you found it. And with the new year coming out, visit your local retailer, help them out.
And buy independent comics, especially ours.
Yeah, especially ours. Yep. Check out aerocomics.store, lukestonestudios.com, fundmycomic.com, and soon to be launched, fundiverse.com. We're still working on the branding for that, but it will be a general use crowdfunding website for everything else that uses the same engine that Fund My Comic uses. So that will also launch next year, and hopefully we'll be able to do a soft launch for that coming up very soon. Thank you guys so much for being here again.
If you can I interject for a second? If you ever need any action figures or 3D models or things for your stuff, just contact me there at the bottom.
We always need things for our stuff.
Things for our stuff. Yeah.
Things for your stuff. Hire Whiskey.
Absolutely.
He needs to make money so he can pay his artist.
Yes.
Essentially.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah. All right, guys. Remember, holidays coming up.
Build up more than you tear down.
Leave the woodpile higher than you found it.
Yep.
And by all means.
Importantly. Yep.
Say it, Whiskey. It's your turn.
Let's be careful out there.
Let's be careful out there. Let's be careful out there. We had a 187 at the 7-Eleven on the corner of 4th and Main. 2 Caucasians of the male persuasion put a bullet through the cashier's brain. Moving on, I see a 211, half a dozen 459, 2 ADWs, a GTA, several miscellaneous crimes. Homicide, arson,